What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today, we're going to be looking at
some marked hands that I played over the past 3 days. So I've played about 30 hours live over the past 4 or 5 days. And these are my notes from live and the hands that I played, and we'll talk about them.
I gotta ask a first question
Yeah.
here if I can.
Yes.
So 4 sessions, you said?
Yeah, something like that. 3 or 4 sessions. I played about 10 hours each time.
Are you? I think I've asked you this before, but I'm gonna ask you again. Do you feel any kind of mental acuity drop off towards the end, or do you think you're good for
Yes.
10?
I think I definitely have a drop off, and the way I observe it is not by how I'm playing. It's in a hand that I'm not in. If I look and go, can I replay this hand in my head? Do I know everything that's happened up till now in a hand that I'm not in? And later in the session, I realized that I look down at the board and I go, oh, how do we get here? But the payoff is later in the session, can I tell you a lot about the other players that I'm playing with? And if the answer is yes, then then I've got that advantage. So there was a table over the time where I went, I'm the best player at this table, I should stay. I'm not paying as much attention as I need to, but they're open limping a ton. This guy, I know enough about them that I'd love to have more information from every hand, but I've got enough information to play this game effectively. And then last night, I'm sorry, Saturday night, I was at the table where I go, okay, there are 2 people here who are better than me, and there are 3 people here who are worse. I'm going to stay. Then one of them worse left, and somebody new came, and I went, all right, I don't like this lineup. I'm leaving.
Yeah. Because
So
now you are over. You're in the minority. You've got more people better than you than are worse.
yes, and the other thing is that it's like that later in the session, you've got a real advantage on knowing the other players, which is good, but a disadvantage of mental acuity. And so I'm trying to balance the two.
That is the balance.
I
That is the
believe,
balance.
yeah, I believe that my decision making per hand doesn't go to shit. I'm still thinking through the hand that I'm in, but I'm not paying as much attention to the hands that I'm not in. I can tell that. And the other thing I did was I gave myself permission to take a mental break. So like I would play for a little while. I'd be playing for a while and go, okay, I'm now going to not pay attention to hands for 5 minutes, and I'm going to listen to a piece of music or something like that while looking at my cards and folding, except for real hand, and giving myself that full on permission, and then say, and I'm going to come back and pay real attention.
That's
So
clever. That's the way to do it.
I'm probably playing too long, but those are my balances. That's what's going on.
Yeah, so I want to play long. The reason I'm asking is I want to play longer sessions, but
Yeah.
What happens with me essentially is I get to about 4 to 5 hours, and I do feel kind of like a little bit of a mental haze, almost like a mental buzz. I could tell
Yeah.
I've been working my mind very hard, and it's showing some signs of, I would argue, physiological exhaustion.
Yes.
But I want to extend that out. Now, the first thing I need to do is to get in better shape. That's number one, just better physical shape going in.
And then absolutely get up from the table and take a walk.
Yeah.
Sit out 2 rounds. You're allowed to do that. Go outside, get real air, come back in and look at it and say, how am I eager right now, or am I grindy? And if you're grindy, maybe it's time to stop.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it, especially the changing your scenery to get a perspective. That sounds very important.
That's super important, super important. Because there's this feeling, all the feelings of I can beat these guys and staying at the table forever and all those things go away when you walk outside and go, oh yeah, there's a world out here. I could participate in that world. And then do it.
Oh, there are real humans who don't spend their Saturday nights in the poker room.
Exactly. All right.
I
don't know this feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's a nice disaster hand. Okay.
Right, so you are first to act
I
here?
am in straddle.
Okay, you're on the straddle.
Oh, if it's going to make it harder, so no worries. But can I ask that you talk a little bit on like bottom of ranges pre-flop because I don't play much cash games and I haven't studied much.
Sure, I'll show, we'll glance over at, some charts while we do it.
Also, I'm gonna put a link in the chat, and you have free access to charts in this.
Yeah.
So you can just get on this and you can just create a like free account, and you can look at pre-flop charts for cash and MTTs for free.
I have GTO Wizard. Just that
Okay.
Yep, that's a really
when
good
I study tournaments. It's
Yeah,
what I
so
play.
take a look at the
Okay.
cash chart. The main difference you're gonna find is that the big blind is gonna be unbelievably tight compared to what you're used to. You're gonna go, what?
Yeah.
Because without an ante and with a rake, it just, everything changes. And the sizing is bigger. And then the sizing live is even bigger than what GTO Wizard it does in its standard. All right.
Yeah, I heard about the 10x opens. and,
All right. So
So you are gonna defend
I'm
your big
in the
blind from a
straddle.
UTG.
I'm in the straddle.
I'm sorry, you're defending your straddle from a UTG.
I'm defending the straddle from UTG. With
Oh, you've got three flyers.
Right. So this seems like this is probably a real thing. Let's take a look at this in peak GTO, because that one does it. It has all the right sizes.
But it doesn't have straddle, does it?
It doesn't have straddle, but we can still look at it big blind wise. We can look at it as,
Yeah.
we'll see how far off we are. Okay, so
Do you want to go to?
I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to cash. And are we really 200 big blinds deep? I'll leave it at 100 for now. Okay, so we get a raise, and then we're gonna get in our world, what we got was, here we go. Oh, I gotta go, I'm sorry.
Hey, Mike.
There it is. They're all out of position ones, so we'll do it with 2 and then we'll look at 3. So we're never gonna get the actual thing, but in this case, king 8 suited is okay.
All right, so you've got, this is just.
Yeah. So this is
This
a
is
bad,
multi-way, one caller from small blind and you're in the big blind, right?
yeah, that's what this is. So you put
Okay.
in the second caller, I think it's gonna go a little tighter, and so the king 8 suit. So this is a bad call. If we do
But then
this,
there's another argument that.
Yeah.
Implied odds go up multi-way,
yeah.
or multi-way.
Yeah, this is an unfair one because there's another, I'm out of position to another player.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
out of position to one. So this
We
is a
can
better
tighten up
fold than a
here.
call. So we start with that, and this would have avoided $1,200 of pain.
Okay. Where
Okay.
is that?
Yeah. So yeah, this is a mistake. So now I make the mistake.
Okay, so let's go back here for a second before I mean, you might be right, this is a blunder, but I'm not so sure. So I don't really care about direct odds, they don't matter here, but let's talk about the qualities of this hand that make this either a fold or a call. Now, clearly any suited ace X is call here.
Yeah.
Like our worst ones, ace 7, ace 8 are a call. You're playing this for implied odds, right? Because you're drawing to second nuts.
Now
And you're
notice,
closing the action, you're not gonna get squeezed off your equity.
right, but notice that that isn't actually true in peak, but you're in the right idea. None of them are wrong, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
it's not a slam dunk.
Yeah, like the
That
weird,
really is super tight, huh?
yeah,
well,
just very tight.
welcome to cash, my friend.
Yes, it's quite
I
warm
mean, I'm
sometimes.
playing Russian cash online and I'm like barely winning.
Yeah.
But I know I
You-
play way too many ends. I
you
defend the big
just-
blind
you-
like
You gotta be tight, you gotta be tight. Okay, so my argument is that you are drawing second nuts here, but what's your stack depth here relative to anyone? else?
We're 1280 effective. I've probably got, I don't know how much these two guys have for real. I know that this guy is the 1280. This guy's 1300 because of what happens later in the hand.
Okay,
I've probably got 2000 at this point.
so you're like 1300 divided by 30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So this would be a better fold. I didn't fold. And I think tomorrow I'm gonna fold this. I think I'm gonna learn. I think I'm going to just learn this.
I'm gonna interrupt you for one
Yep.
more time here, because I'm curious about, so I'm looking at this and saying, okay, the straddle is the big blind, right? So now we're playing 43 big blinds deep.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden our implied odds drawing to second nuts just isn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not 43 big blinds deep. We're 120 we're 130 big blinds deep. but our SPR is gonna be 40.
Okay, so do you think we should calculate our big blind stack depth by straddle?
100%. The straddle is what we would call the big blind. This
Got
is
it.
the small blind, middle blind, big blind. Their names are small blind, big blind, and straddle. The straddle is on every hand.
Okay,
This is-
okay, I got it. I miscalculated.
Yeah.
My apologies. Okay, go ahead.
I'm deep.
What
I'm
was
deep
this?
enough.
This was 2-5 and then a 10 straddle, a straddle, 2-5 and a 10.
It's 3, 5, 10, but
3, 5, 10.
I don't always bother to put in the 3, because you have to put in the 3 by hand in this one. So I've been letting it say 2, 5 just to save time when I enter them. But the
Okay.
game is 3, 5, 10. 3, 5, 10 with a $5 drop, a $2 plus $2 more for the bonuses plus a $1 tip. So basically the rate is $8 a hand.
Yeah, so 120 effective,
Yeah, 120 effective.
130.
Yeah, 130. I think this is, so I did this when I was there. I think it was a mistake.
What do you think, Mike? I'm curious.
I think it's a mistake too, versus good players. Now, I think you might be able to make the exploit. You could probably expand and say this is okay against bad players.
These two players here are not good. The guy who raised, his name was John, and he talked like he knew how to play.
Then I think you're okay with these two players, especially if you're in position against those two bad players. Then I think it's okay, personally.
Okay. Good enough. All right. So
In theory, I think it's a fold. Like if you were to like somehow be able to do this in some kind of solver,
Yeah.
I think it would say absolutely fold.
yeah, okay. That's what it's going to be tomorrow for me. This is going to be a fold. All right. So we see 2, 6, 7. Check, 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 checks around. Another 7. Check, check. I decide I'm going to take I've decided that this is my hand. I go to 75.
So you beat 50?
I beat, yeah. I did over 50,
Okay, like a B60 something.
Yeah.
Okay.
75. He raises me. Fold, fold. I think for a while. And I go, he doesn't have a 7.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
you're up to nefarious activities here.
yes, his real value range here, his real value range is pocket 6s and almost no pocket 2s. All right. So
Yeah.
do I believe that he played pocket 6s on the flop like this? I don't believe it.
Okay.
So I've decided he is capped at an overpair.
Okay.
Even then, he doesn't always have overpairs. So he has a lot of flush draws here.
Okay.
That's what I've decided.
Sure.
Or, he has overpairs here, and he doesn't have a 7. He doesn't have a 7. So it's only pocket 6s. So I look at him and I'm thinking about this.
So what you're telling us this, so you think he's a good player and he's polarized here.
I don't know that he's a good player. He talks as if he knew how to play. That's my
It
note.
doesn't
So-
tell us that much. You're right. A
These are
really
my-
good player would not talk about how good they are.
Right. So these are my notes. I think it's 6-6 or nothing. It's 6-6 or a flush draw. It's never a 7. It isn't 6-6. I look, I see his neck. I see him gulp. I jam.
Okay.
He not only calls, but he snap calls. He says the words snap call
What an asshole.
with 8-8. I don't hit my king.
Holy shit.
So,
That is gambling on his part.
right. So
I don't know.
I've been looking at-
His snap call's a little ridiculous, but I
call's
can
not
see
ridiculous.
this.
the call's not
Huh?
ridiculous at all.
Yeah.
So, and my notes were, at this point, I've been the tightest at the table because of my cards. He's 3-bet me twice and I folded pre both times. The thing was, I thought for a while before doing this and I stared at him. So what did he see? Or was it not a C and he just knew that's what he was going to do?
Yeah, this is a very interesting spot. So he's not respecting range versus range interaction here.
He doesn't believe I can have a 7. He doesn't believe I have a 7 here. Now I can have a 7 here.
Yes, you have the most 7s of anybody here, I would argue.
Right.
And someone else could tell him differently, but yeah, I mean, Mike is like, this is a fine
a 7.
bluff catcher.
Yeah.
But okay. I can see
Wait,
this being a
wait.
bluff catch. Did he have any, does he blocking spades?
That eight of spades is a random spade.
Okay, all right.
I didn't write it, I did not write down in my notes that it was eight of spades. I gave this to him in the solver, in the replayer. All right, so that happened.
Well, let's go back to,
Yeah.
would you ever consider an alternative? What's your SPR here after he raises you?
I don't have to jam here, and you might make the argument that 900 is more believable than a jam.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this. Like,
Right.
you know, would be believable would be a click and shove river.
Yeah, but I wanted to have it be the beefiest of bluffs.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I could do against his flush. I could choose to do against his flush draws
Yes.
because
that's true.
I'm thinking here it's a 6-6 or it's a flush draw. It's never a 7. That's what I'm thinking here, you know. And against his flush, and if I'm thinking that, then if I did have a 7 here, I could jam against his flush draws happily because I'd be happy to get them to call and I'd be happy to get them to fold.
It does look like you have a 7. Now,
Not enough.
okay.
Maybe I don't wait that long. Maybe when I have a 7 here and I'm afraid it's a 6-6 or a flush draw, I don't jam. I just call. You know, or I don't bet larger. Don't know.
So
Quick question.
Yeah.
This type of play, even if you have a read, I would think that you have to have some equity versus calling range.
That'd be good. I have a king. I have an overcard. That's nice. But yeah, I do not love this play at all. This was a I'm going to 100% trust my read play. And
But even then, don't you rather like click it and then
that's what we're talking about. But let's give him pocket 9s here. I click it to 600. He calls. Then the river, I leave him with only his SPR on the river is just too low for me to bluff him off a lot.
So before we move on to the next hand, I'm gonna just make one statement here that's kind of a meta game.
Yes.
Generally, our bluffs when where we meet aggression with additional aggression are not our best spots. Now you are making, as you say, you are making a read a little bit as to what his range should be here and what he makes us play with.
Yes.
But generally, I think we need to dial back when we're choosing to bluff aggression with additional aggression.
Yes. That the idea of rebluffing someone.
The idea of rebluffing someone, I think we have to think twice about. I fucked up like this a couple nights ago and don't pair board, blah blah blah. But yeah, I think anytime we're applying, if we're rebluffing, we have to really understand this spot very intimately.
I agree. I think that rebluffing is for the movies.
Yes, I think when we face aggression.
Yep.
Yeah. We just overfund aggression. Right?
Yeah. And if I just fold to this 300, I lose $75, but I lost 1,200.
How much thought did you, this is not a criticism. I'm just curious because when I made this mistake, a very similar mistake, I very much went on instinct and I did not think it through. Did you give this a three or 4 minutes or was this insta show?
No, that's my problem was I did think it through. And that may have been a tell. I thought it through. I thought it through. I thought about the range. I thought there are over pairs here, which I think will fold. There are flush draws here, which I think will fold to this. And if they don't, then I have my 6 outs there and they have to be ace high. I do have a king. And there's pocket 6s. That this little note you see here was, I think, this is my real-time thinking. I go through this. So in real time, it's so hard to tell, but it could have certainly been 30, 40 seconds before I jammed. And there was the definite staring at him. And I decided, and part of it was, I'm looking at him, I see a gulp. I don't believe he broadcast that gulp, because you don't want me to jam here when you have pocket eights.
Yeah, you're thinking this is not a Hollywood gulp.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it was a Hollywood gulp. I just think that it wasn't that I didn't scare him enough, either because of the pause or because of the size. I don't know what he saw.
Okay. Now
I did not ask him either. My relationship with him was not such that I would say, how did you on that?
Okay, I got one more comment, and I'll let you move on to the next hand. The other piece here is that a very common bluff line is for big blind to represent the low pair card. This live. You often see a turn pair on a low card repped by big blind. So we know
Right.
that. So a player who's been playing for a long time is going to understand this is a very common aggression moment.
Yep.
And I will leave it at that.
Right. And I will say that's why a call makes a lot of sense here. The raise is a little strange with pocket eights, but when he makes the raise, when he chooses to combat my thing with the raise, I thought that, so sometimes I'm bluffing here when I bet the 75, but a lot of those bluffs go out the wall when I jam. But he didn't think that. He did not think the way I thought he would think.
Well, he made his read. He was not also going to modify it, was he?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So later he had a 10-10 in the big blind, which he 3-bet. So now a guy named Will opens in the tree on here. So this is going to be, so maybe this is that hand. I've got, this is me watching a hand on that guy.
On the guy on
The
your
same
direct
guy.
left?
Yeah, this is John here again.
Okay.
I'm not going to be in this hand. This is going to be because it's going to come in later.
All right.
So we're just going to look at the hand. So raise to 30. There's a call. There's his 3-bet. There's a call. Double called. He checks, bet, call, and he jams. He check jams his overpair here. This is not Joey approved. I see why he did it. And let's see how it worked out for him. Probably not well.
So we're seeing, so in other words, this is very similar to your hand. Do you think he's overvaluing his middle pairs on low board?
Yeah, this may be exactly what happened here.
This is after that hand you just showed us?
Yeah, this is not the very next hand, but this is later in the session. This guy is you could not look more like an OMC than this guy. He never raises pre-flop. He always limps, but he does jam flush draws. He does bluff, but pre-flop he is all limp and he looks unbelievably OMC. So here he jams into what is pocket threes and gets called by what is a flush draw. So he is so dead. Then the flush comes on the turn and then just board pair. And there it goes. So now I think, this makes me believe he didn't actually see anything.
So too bad that hand didn't happen before.
Yeah.
Then you'd be inoculated.
I might have known better about how he plays his pairs.
Yeah.
But I also might not be paying attention enough to it. We'll treat though old Joe does this. He checks dark to make sure everybody. He also checked dark here and made a big deal of it. Make sure everybody knew that he checks dark. This game
player.
He never met, right. He does this. My
Joey.
note for you guys. This is my note for you guys. This was written down in real time. He jams. He's never met Joey. And then he leaves broke without my money in a 9.
Someone else has got your money.
The other guy's got my money.
So I'm impressed that you can write detailed notes.
Yeah.
I have trouble writing notes.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at
Right,
it, Derek.
Question.
Yes.
This is like a crazy player, or this is your average live cash game?
This is not
regular?
crazy. This is not crazy. It's just neither of those plays were crazy. They were just mistakes.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. The guy get in 10-0 three-way, you're like versus 2 ranges, you're just doing terribly.
Yeah, I think
with the pocket eights,
he should have considered folding here. But what he should have done here was he should have folded or called. On this, then when on this turn comes, he's going to be out of there. It's going
No,
to
I
go.
mean,
back.
when he check raises and gets it in,
It's
like,
terrible.
he's always going to be in bad shape. I think he should just bet. Should just
I mean,
bet
this goes
flop.
back to the classic argument is that you only fold out worse, you never fold out better.
Hmm?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, he could have gotten money from the FD, from the flush draw, but this, I mean, he's multiple, yeah, this is a blunder. He's
How
looking at-
happy is he to be against this flush draw?
Not happy at all.
Well, no, he's got, I'll take 66%. I'll take a 66-33.
9, 15, you're the dog.
Yeah.
Two cards to come, all in.
Oh, the two
So,
overs.
like,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right. The two overs.
Yeah.
You're
He's the
right.
dog here.
You're right.
you
Yeah.
have like 40 something percent equity. It's not great. And this
So
is
tough.
like best case scenario when you get it in. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, so tough. The reason he didn't bet out was he made it a point to check dark. So before he saw the board, he says the words check dark and make sure everybody knows it. So he doesn't have the option to bet out. Now that he has not bet out and he gets the bet and the call, this is where alarm bells should be going off. Now, should he just fold here? Maybe, but a call is not bad here. This would be a reasonable call and a reasonable fold. This is a bad jam. This is a bad raise. We've got that. After his call, if he had called, he would escape on this turn. Because now he can get out of there.
yeah.
So those are all the reasons that's bad. I would say that it's worse than my play against him. Both were bad. All right, here we go. Next hand. This is a different kind of fold tell for you guys. All right.
All right.
So I don't know why I'm showing player 6 already. We don't know this is there. We don't know this is them.
Okay.
So here we go. We have a raise to 25. King Queen here, I think can call. It can 3-bet, and I also don't even hate a fold, although it's not a GTO fold. And which do I do? I went for a call here on the button.
Oh, wait. Quick question.
Yeah.
If from what I've seen so far, the pool seems to be very splashy and multi-way, right?
I wouldn't
So-
take that conclusion. That may just be the hands that I'm showing, but it is a definitely splashy pool. There are, but it's not every hand goes multi-way. This is not like 1-2-2.
Yeah, but if so, then you should be far more inclined to 3-bet.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And let's just take a quick look here.
I'm not with you on the call portion of this.
Okay, let's see. Low jack button. Let's find out. Low jack button. Again, this is the one blind range. Yeah. So solver mixes. I could be convinced to not do the call portion of this.
In your rig structure, are you, I don't remember, are you paying rig pre-flop if you take it down?
$2 pre-flop, $7 post-flop.
Oh, like, always $7 period?
Yeah, $7 drop. So $2 goes away pre-flop for the $1 for the casino and $1 for the bonuses, plus $1 for the dealer if you tip dealers on no flop, no drop, on no flop hands. I tip dealers on no flop hands. I tip dealers whenever I take whenever I take any money.
I would argue that,
low.
I would argue that for both you and me, because I would probably flat this too.
Yeah.
But generally, if we 3-bet here and then we're playing heads up on the button, we're in a better place.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't get to the 3-bet here as much as I'd like to, but
Yeah.
I think you would benefit from a 3-bet here and push out the equity of the blinds behind.
I agree. I
Uh,
think it's a better 3-bet than a call.
I'm not saying I do it enough either. But
Yeah.
generally this hand is uncomfortable 3-betting, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and I know your chart had a little bit of call there, but with a extra blind, it's gotta be just 3-bet or fold, and I would imagine.
I think I think you're right. Now, here's the thing though. Let me see where this happened. No, this didn't happen till the river. Okay. So there's no I don't have a read. Like I didn't look to my left and see that these guys are all folding. I think you're right. In a 3-blind structure, this should be a 3-better fold.
Yeah, that's
And
dead money there.
tomorrow it's going to be a 3-better fold. Okay. And I'm going to fold to the low jack -1. I'm going to 3-bet the hijack, and the low jack I'm going to think about. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Alright,
I'm
yeah,
not
good plan.
sure.
Technically Wednesday. I'm not going to play till Wednesday, but yes. Okay.
Like,
So as played, we get this. Yes. Derek, you wanted to say?
in that kind of a rate structure, what hands do you call? Like, I think that I would have very few. Like, I most of the time 3-bet, maybe call only. Like, I think you could have a never call strategy.
Yep. That is certainly a reasonable thing to have no
Maybe
on the
be
button.
more
'Cause I have
likely to
maybe
call with suited cards,
Mm-hmm.
like
king,
your
queen,
shitty
Yeah.
suited cards.
king, queen suited would be
Yeah.
fine. If you look at
Mm,
I know
If you-
I'm talking specifically with this king queen off that it
right, yeah,
should not be a call.
yeah. As we go here, oh, sorry, we were at peak. We looked at this in peak, so just that's the one that's up. And now you're in my way. Get out of my way, Zoom thing. Yeah, your king queen suited loves calling here. So this is in a 1-blind structure, not in a 2-blind, not a 3-blind structure. But looking at this, you can see how these don't mind it, and it makes sense. You can see how these don't mind it, and it makes sense. And even in a 3-blind game, this can't be very wrong. But if
Yeah,
you
notice Peak has some calls here. What if you add a call before it gets to you? Does that increase your 3-betting? I'm thinking it will, right?
that's going to be very similar
I
to
think
it.
it's going to be pure 3-bet and fold.
Here we go. It is not.
It's not just pure fold.
Oh, the king queen offsuit, yes, but
Yeah.
the range still has calls.
Oh yeah, it'll have calls on the button. Yeah, I was thinking king queen off specific.
Can
Yes.
you remind me of, is 8 max chip EV and 6 max? I forget. 8 max is chip EV.
8 max is
The
chippy.
6 max is rake pre-flop, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, picks.
And so
So-
if you would have fewer calls because of our rake, you would have fewer calls because of our structure. Yeah. There we go. So as played, we get this. Check. He bets 25. And the note that's important here is, so the note doesn't come in yet. I'm going to call 125 with with my straight draw. I get called behind. The 8 comes. Check, check, check. The king comes. And do we even know? Why do I know that he has full? Oh, I know why we know this. Okay. The king comes, goes check. He bets 235.
D35 into essentially bet spot.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, 3
Oh, overpot. The overpots.
So he goes, whatever this is, 125, one.
So now when I'm thinking here, I look to my left at the big blind to the straddle. I look to my left to the straddle, and it is clear the straddle is folding. That's
Okay.
what's important about this hand.
That is important.
That's why I can call.
So let's go over this. This is a very common bluff line. Let's just look at this again here.
That's why I know it's 4-5.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's got a common bluff line. So he went to go check, check, bet or bet. It went check, check, bet.
It went
right?
bet, check, bet, check, bet.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is a good hero. And also it's nice
Right.
blocking the queen 10.
But the important thing is this is not a difficult call from the straddle. It's not an obvious call, but it's callable from the straddle. It's a tough call here with a player
someone
behind.
yeah, you're in the middle of the sandwich.
Right. And so what I'm saying is this is not online, this is live. Always look to your left.
Yeah, I agree.
This person, when they are folding, they do not care if you know, because they are giving up no EV in their mind. They're giving up future EV about how plays go. This person is not interested, so they don't care. So they will fold to the point of holding their cards up, like, let's get this over with. And so
Yeah.
the note was,
Could be a reverse still to get you to call it.
they don't. And if they do, and here's the important thing, stuff. If they are playing tricky like that, you should already know it, because people who have fold tells generally don't hide them because they don't care. Now, I'm not talking about subtle fold tells. I'm not talking about their, the things. I'm talking about people who look like, let's get over it. Let's get on with it. Next
Yeah, I
hand.
know what you're saying. I played a tiny
Yeah.
bit of live. I've seen it,
Right.
but
So when you see that, the first thing you do is first thing you do is look to see if they do it. Then you start predicting, how accurate is your prediction? And before you make this conclusion, you've discovered whether they are lying and broadcasting. And if they have not been doing it, then you trust your read. And if you don't know, then you have to think the way you're thinking. But what I'm saying is
either way though, like big blind, it's big blind or straddle, whatever, same thing. It's kind of capped either way. When you call, you can no longer call ace X anyway.
yes, but if you don't know anything about what this person is doing, you can't take queen 10 out of their range. You can't take king jack out of their range. They may
Okay.
fold an ace 3. You may be you may get to, so two things have to be right for you to do this. Three things. One, this guy has to be bluffing for this to work.
Yeah.
He's not always bluffing. Two, this person has to have an ace that they fold. They don't always fold it. And three, this person has to not have two pair. And I, by looking left, eliminated two of those possibilities. And that's what
Alright.
that's why I'm bringing up this hand, is that's what I'm telling you guys to do. So it's easy to look at player 6 and try to make a read. You're right or wrong. It's easy to try to be Phil Hellmuth and look into their soul and be right or wrong. But before you do anything, look to your left and see what this person is doing. And this
That is
person,
a good live knowledge nugget, because essentially what you're saying is when he's going to fold, a majority of players will just give you the free information.
yep. Well, I don't know majority. I don't know that it's a majority. I know that this person did.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
that highly influenced my call.
That is a very important live poker knowledge nugget.
Yeah. Without this tell, I'm probably not calling. And with anything, if I looked at this person and they left their chips on their stack, or they had put chips in their hand already, which I doubt they would with a check raise. I doubt that they would broadcast this. But if they have chips in their hand, I am not making this call. Okay?
Alright.
All right. All right. This is me as the second worst player at the table, the way I played this hand. I hate how I played this hand. All right. So, yeah.
Do we get to sing the song Lady in Red here?
Yes, this is going to be so bad. All right. So raise, call, call. This should be a fold.
It's be very hard to realize your equity out of position once again.
Very hard to realize your equity out of position, but these guys were not raising.
All right.
This is
So
not a good play.
This looks fine as a squeeze, no?
You could squeeze it. I think this is just a better fold than a squeeze here.
I mean, there are players here, when you talk to hardcore grinders, who are going to find the squeeze here and understand how to play this post.
Yeah.
But that's advanced play.
Yeah.
It is very much advanced play. Trying to understand. I mean, the value of squeezing this hand is coming from the high incidence in which you're going to have to bluff.
Yeah.
And that becomes very complex, especially, thing on the table. Sometimes when you think that this, you're still going to go, when you squeeze this, you're still going to go multi-run.
Yeah.
This is probably, I think this is probably a pass for me.
I think this is a pass also. However,
if I were to squeeze, I'd make it like 210. Would you?
Yeah.
90,
something like 210, 230.
120, 150, 180, 190, 195 at least. Let's go to 205, 210. Yeah. Yep, I agree. But what I saw two calls coming. I saw people with 30 chips in their hand.
Got it.
Oh, so dead money. is what you're
Not dead
thinking.
money. Odds.
Increased applied odds.
Not
Yeah.
they did not have 30 chips in their hand, in my opinion, in order to induce a call so they could then add another 200 chips to their hand. These were callers. That was my opinion.
Okay.
And I trusted my read.
So you're gonna go squeeze on the flop. is what you're
No,
thinking.
I'm going to go fit or fold
Yeah, that's what I mean. Squeeze on the flop.
He's
If you-
trying to nut at equity here.
like that.
Yeah.
Yep, like that.
Okay.
It's very
That's a
nice to
skill.
flop the nuts, but now it's gonna get much more interesting. 5 leads. 2, 6, 12. Do it. Do it. Fast play.
6.
So what's your SPR here? So your SPR is essentially 2. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Once he puts it, so he puts his bet in.
Mm-hmm.
Your SPR, oh, you're at 300. SPR is 4. Okay, 120. I like 240. I like around $400.
I like 6.
Okay.
I mean, you're not protecting for much. Why not just call, let the blinds splash around? Maybe some of them do something stupid.
I think, well, calling, okay, can I make an argument for Tizov here? Scotty?
Yes.
Tizov, there are slow plays. However, your slow plays here, number 1, are going to be in position. And number 2 are probably not going to be massively multi-way. When you're massively multi-way, you still got 3 ranges with a shit ton of equity, even against the nuts here. When you thin the field, you are denying equity. We love denying equity when we're playing 4 ways in a hand on flop.
Right.
And also you're out of position. When you're out of position, you're not in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's much harder to get to control the turn here.
Now, in theory, you'll see, and also in theory, we often are going to fast play our flop straights because in theory, we're unblocking their value calls. We're unblocking
Sure,
jacks.
but
We're
when
unblocking
there's
arguably jack 8 in loose games. So when we're unblocking everything and we've got a straight, we often will see in theory this is a fast play hand, especially out of position.
Okay. So let me give you 2 things to think about here. So put a flush draw on the board, then we really like the fast play, right?
Agreed.
yeah, sure.
Right. Now, change this straight from the 7-8 jack to the 7-10 jack and give me 8-9. Then I think this fast play is much better.
Yes. You want to deny
Guys-
equity even more.
Right. Do you guys all see that? Do you guys all see the important difference between 7-8 jack and 7-10 jack here?
No, what's the
Yeah,
difference?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you've got,
All
I mean, he doesn't have the draw. He doesn't have the king queen.
Right. So explain that stuff, Larry. Spell that out in detail.
Your hand is much more nutted here. Because if on board, we had queen, jack, he's got king, queen, which can outdraw you,
Yeah, but put this
right?
up.
And,
Yeah, but
but
just have
now your hand
many
is
more
much more nutted
draws.
in this situation. Because he doesn't have any straight draws that
Ah,
can
no,
outdraw you,
I thought you
especially on
said
this
6,
rate.
7. I thought you said 6, 7, 10.
No, not 6-7, 6. It's no, not 6-7-10, 7-10 jack, 7-10 jack.
Ah,
Huge
all right,
difference.
all right. No,
Everybody,
I thought you said 6, 7, 10.
no, 6-7-10 is the same hand. 6-7-10 is exactly the same to me. There may be differences, but I don't understand them, and that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay, so we all got that. So this hand is so not afraid of the next card. Just massively not afraid of the next card. But
Yeah.
fast play is like that. So we fast play it, we get a fold, and he just folds, whatever.
So what do you
whatever.
hate about the way you played this hand?
So as played, as in the, not in not in against the ranges, but against the actual hands, this was a nightmare because this person here, next to me had King Jack and said she was going to raise.
I don't care. I mean, you're being, okay, I'm gonna be
I know,
quiet.
I'm being
and do what
totally
you
results
can.
oriented. I'm telling you, I'm saying in the results, this is what happened. That doesn't mean this was a bad play.
Okay, all right,
Uh,
I got a bit, passionate there for a second. Yeah, I think your play is good. I mean,
Okay, great.
you sounded like you hated the way you said you hated the way you put in this hand, right?
No, I hated the result.
Oh, you hated, okay, that's
Damn,
a
this
lot different.
happened. It's like, damn, he folded. Damn, she was gonna raise.
Oh, I thought
Damn.
you said you
I
hated the way you
don't
played
know
it.
that it's a mistake.
I think you played this perfectly.
You think it's just the right play? Okay.
I think
All right.
actually I'd make my check raise bigger massively multi-way because I'm nittier than you.
Okay.
But
Uh,
What
does
do you
anybody
ever
slow play
bluff
this?
here?
I would never slow play this
Okay.
out of position massively multi-way.
The out of position is a huge thing because if it goes check, check on the turn, I'm just.
I have a hand I kind of want to share with you right now because it
Do it.
is a slow play of flop
Let's do it.
Broadway.
All right.
Is that all right?
Yeah, put it up.
Because it's a good compliment to this because I showed this to people and they said I played it horribly.
Okay.
I just have to find it. It's gonna go to your next hand because I have
I'll
to
do the
find it
next hand.
first.
Find it. Okay. Next hand. Here we go. This is going to be this. All right. We have pocket sixes. And I believe
Sharing.
that these notes are actually correct.
Share.
Oh, sorry. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Share. All right, here we go. We have pocket sixes. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a very good fold here, but you can raise it. It's there are slivers of the raise here. But this is a perfectly fine fold to come. I did the raise this time. I got 3-bet. And when you do the raise here, I believe that this is a call. And if you are raising your sixes, this is the one lesson here that I want to point out to you guys. If you believe that this is correct, that this is a partial raise, and when it is 3-bet, it is a call, then if you are doing this full frequency, you cannot call full frequency. This is what my belief is about this. Let me.
I mean, it depends a lot on the player. If he's,
yeah,
a lot
can you
of players
unpack-
they just 3-bet and then they have like two random big cards
No,
and they
no,
just check, 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 check.
no, stuff. I'm saying something different here. This comes from, this is why I'm saying this. Whatever their 3-bet range is, you'll notice these kinds of things. Here's where we are. You'll see these low frequencies of raises here, right? They exist all the way down to deuces. So you raise, let's get 3-bet by, let's get the right position here. He was immediately the next guy. Okay. So we get raised here. Sorry, we get raised here. Comes back around to us. And you'll see the sixes, fives, fours, deuces, all call 100%, right? But the eights, nines, tens, and jacks fold some percent. You see that pattern? Stuff, say yes or no.
I see, yes.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't do it, but I see.
Right, you see it. Now, when people look at this, what they generally think is that this has to do with that the sixes, fives, fours, threes, twos unblock some part of the lower part of his range, but the eights, nines, tens, jacks block part of his bluffing range, right? And it's some complicated interaction of that. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but this is my claim, that none of that is true. That the reason you get this pattern is so that when you go to the flop, your ratio of these pairs to these things is good. So the reason you sold a lot of your eights is because you had all of them.
Okay, so that is the sole representative of sixes in
Right.
your range. Is
Right.
that
Wait,
what
but
it's saying?
do you actually
if
do
you-
it?
Yes. So if you're set, so let me finish this and then I'll go to you, Seth. So if your strategy included a full frequency raise of sevens in this position, then you would fold a bunch of them like you do the eights. If your sixes were full frequency, you would fold a bunch of them. And if you 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, if these were all full frequency in your initial raise, like I'm just super aggressive here, then you can't call all of them, because then this part of your range is going to be misshapen compared to this part of your range.
So you, I
And you
guess it's
fucked
you're
on the-
saying, if I can paraphrase what you're saying, is
Yeah.
that you need to protect when deuce 3 4 comes up, say, so that your range has deuces 3s 4s.
No, I'm not saying that. That's true, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this. If your strategy is raise sevens pure, raise sixes pure, raise 6-5 suited pure, and raise 5-4 suited pure in the low jack -1, you could see having that strategy, right? I'm going to raise sixes plus 5-4 and 5-4 and 6-5. I'm being very aggressive, and I'm not going to raise these. And then I'm also going to raise all this other stuff, right? You guys could see having that strategy. If you then get to here and you then call all of those, then the amount of queens you have, the amount of your range is going to be super heavy down here and super light up here. And that range is going to be fucked going to the turn, going to the flop. You want to have a range where you have more of ace queen suited than you do of 6-6. And now you have more 6-6 than you have ace queen suited. You want to have a lot more of your aces that I'm sorry, we only calls. You want to have more of your ace king, your ace queen, these hands, your queen queen and your jack jack, because if this is how you're playing queen queen and jack jack, you've now got way too many sixes, 5s, 6-5 and 7-6. All right. I'm done with my speech.
Can I give my complimentary flop straight to yours?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, if you can let me, okay, so you guys can chastise me this hand. It's certainly a chastisable hand, but there is a little bit of a backstory here. So
Okay.
this is a four-handed reg battle on a weeknight.
Mhm.
All these players have played with me a ton.
Right.
Clearly, because I'm playing 25% hands, I am the OMC because I am actually old. I do like to drink coffee. And so there is a little, so ignore this. This is a big one. It just fucked up. I open a
Mhm.
10 here, which is fine. We get 2 calls to the blind. Boom. We flop the nuts, and it's a rainbow board. So
Yep.
in theory, we're going to fast play this a lot
Yes.
because we are unblocking all the calls.
Yes. And there's one other reason, and go on.
Oh, I'm curious what the other reasons. Go ahead.
The other reason is this. You're going to get money from an ace here. We know that. You're going to get money, a little bit of money from a queen, maybe. But when they don't have any of those hands, you're not going to get any money anyway.
That is true, and that is something I need to remind myself on
Right.
occasion here. Now here's my go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scotty. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's that. You look at this and you go, I want to let them catch up. But in reality, there is no catch up. They've got a piece of this or they don't.
Yeah.
They've got 10
And-
jack, if they've got 10 jack, king, queen, queen, jack, they're going to see a turn. So charge them. That's my opinion. Go on.
I think you're right. I think that arguably my play is a mistake. The only argument is the metagame
Mm-hmm.
in that there was another guy who wasn't there yet. Never mind. I'm getting a little bit of the reputation of Blay only puts a lot of money in and he's got it. So I've got to make balance. Well, I got to bluff more, obviously, and show the bluffs when they get through, or show my bluffs obviously when I lose and be happy, which I do. But anyway, so I'm thinking if I'm going to slow play at some frequency, this is a spot to do it. I'm in the driver's seat, multi-way, and I can do a lot of stuff here.
Mhm.
However, I think you are right if they got a piece, they got a piece. If they don't, they don't. They're going to put money in. And also, the other thing to think about here is that these are very wide ranges at 50% VPIPs, which means all the offsuit ace-X's both in the blinds, right? And all that offsuit ace-X is going to call a flop. So I choose to not even bet small. I should have bet small here if I'm going to do anything.
Yep.
I think betting small here is fine. Let me ask you, what size are you using?
10.
I like
9,
10.
10, 10. Yeah, 10's good.
Sure. So I just check. Now you get a pretty innocuous turn. It can only be better if it was rainbow. And we do list the bet. Now we've chosen to take the trap line. Do we fast play now or do we continue to trap?
Fast play now.
Okay. I chose to trap because I got him where I wanted in a multi-web.
Okay.
But I think fast playing now is fine.
Yeah.
But I think I fucked up this hand because I think I shouldn't be slow playing it.
Yeah, fast play now.
Boom. Lovely. River, check, check. And I go 45, which I think the max is going to call. Insta fold. He was in hell for about a minute and a half and finally put me off with finish.
What do you have?
He didn't show, but
Oh, he didn't show. Okay, good enough.
but must like an ace. But this, I can go this. I need to go this pot earlier.
Yeah.
All right. That is just a compliment
go-
for him because this is a situation where
Put it back
where I
up for
slipped it.
just a second. Larry, put
Sure.
it just back up for a second.
Sure.
And I'm gonna just
Uh-oh.
imagine a slightly different hand. And where what you did makes more sense. I just want to have your board up there when you do it. So
Okay,
share it.
sure. I'm just gonna get it up there. This is the right one. Yeah. Okay, you see it?
Yep.
Okay,
So-
go ahead.
Imagine the same situation, but where the board is 9, 10, queen. Now, a lot of cards can come on the turn to improve their hands to let them call you. Like an ace can come.
Yeah.
That they didn't have, that would fold. Imagine the same situation where you did this with Jack 10 suited and the board was 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
In all those cases, the idea in your mind of I'm going to give them a free card, so there are more calls that will be out there. Maybe someone will, just go nuts, anything like that. Here, that just doesn't exist, the first one.
So one way to put it is that this is a static board.
Yeah, this is static, and so they've got it or they don't of what they think it is. Now,
Got
of course, they can have pocket deuces here. There can be a deuce on the turn that can give them a trips. That can give them a set that doesn't boat up that you get a ton of money from. Yeah, I mean, there are imagined things, but the general world here is of most of the hands that are going to give you value on the turn, they're going to give you value on the flop.
That is a very good point. And so that is static versus dynamic, right?
Yep. And you can't, and usually dynamic is that you have to bet because you're scared of the board changing and getting worse for you.
But when we nut up, like what we're talking about on 7, 8, 9, and we have Jack 10 on a rainbow board, it's a different situation.
Yeah, you could say to yourself, and I'm not saying you should slow play there, but there you could say to yourself, oh, good, the dynamic board will change, and then they'll get something to call me that they didn't have before.
Yeah, so if we get a turn ace and all of a sudden they've got 2 pair.
Yeah, or
we love life.
or they've got an ace now.
So this was more, I think you're right. I think that what you're doing is you're talking about board textures, and what I'm thinking here is impenetrable nuts.
Yeah.
But thinking about impenetrable nuts, and that's why we're going to slow play, is not the right way to do it. Thinking about board textures, static versus dynamic, and what you're saying here, which is any ace is going to give you money. Better way to think about it.
Any ace is going to give you money. Lots of queens are going to give you money. All 2-card broadways are going to give you money. All of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is a fast play, which is
Yeah.
what everybody else said.
And then here's the way to get to that thought, which is because you want a general thing. You don't want a thing that it's just about this particular board, which is you're in a situation where you're thinking about whether you want to fast play or slow play. So think about just think about their ranges. How do their ranges What
Range
are the,
versus range interaction.
what does their continuing range look like? And once you ask that question, and that's a question to ask all the time. So if I bet here, what does their continuing range look like? And you realize, oh my gosh, it's
I'm
exactly the
going
same
to go.
flop turn. And then you have your answer.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense. Yeah. On,
Yeah.
so think about the static board. What is their continuing range? Does that, yeah, okay. Any ace is going to pay me a lot more if I fast play this from the beginning. Yeah, got
Yep,
it.
you're gonna get three streets in.
I
That
think
doesn't
you're
get rid
right.
of
I
all
appreciate you
of them,
looking at.
But you're gonna bet all three streets. And they're gonna maybe call all three, or maybe two.
Yeah,
There you go.
thank you.
And so, yeah, so against that guy, if that guy had some random ace, you were definitely getting a bet on the flop. Probably get a bet on the turn. And on the river, he was gonna think for a while, but those bets were gonna be the same size as what he bet, right?
So I would have probably eked out a little bit more money.
Yeah, you would have gotten a little more, and if he called you on the river, you would have definitely gotten more. You would have gotten significantly more.
And if he heroed me on river, I would have gotten more.
Yeah,
Now,
'cause you're
in
a
the
bad-
back of my head, I'm thinking I need to balance I'm the OMC. I need to balance ranges, not always. I mean, but I think that's
Yeah.
too far to the meta game.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay, so here we go. This is another bit of fucked up, but what is it? I don't know what it is about this hand. Oh, this is the sixes, right? So we had our little speech about the sixes, which is that you have to fold them in this, but I wasn't opening them pure, so I'm allowed to call them. Flop the nuts. Yay. Check. Check.
That
Boom.
yay was quite ironic.
Yes.
I heard some irony in that yay.
Yes. Yay. But we goes check, check. 10.
Whoa.
Ugh. So I think that I bet small here. Yeah, so I bet very small. He calls, great. The 9. What's the size on the river?
This is kind of choose your own adventure. I mean, you're happy to stack off here. If he's got
Oh, yeah.
10s or 9s.
I'm
so-
happy to stack off here.
So can we go through the action again real quick? So check, small bet, call, right?
Yeah. Oh
This
my
is
God.
kind of like, if you put this in solver, it's like choose your own adventure. I think if you're gonna, I mean, if you have an overbet, it's here.
So I am the third best player at the table. He is the best player at the table.
Okay. Well. How does that affect your bet sizing? Does that affect your bet sizing in the fact that, well, we know his range is clean, right? So we know he's probably using a proper range here. He 3-bet you, so he's got overpairs. So let's talk about range versus range here. So what? So he's got small bet 10. So he's got a lot of ace king, ace queen here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So check. This feels a lot like ace king, ace queen,
Mm-hmm.
and slow play 10s, which is doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yep.
So I would. What is the? I mean, do you think he's ever playing any overpairs this way? Do you ever think he's ever playing aces this way?
What does an average player have here? An average
Ace-
player here
Has ace king.
has pocket 9s, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, ace king, and the ace king of, ace king and spades, right?
Does an average player have? Is an average player 3-betting low pairs?
9s, maybe not, probably not. Probably. Okay. But an average
This
doesn't
smells a
have-
lot like he's.
an average player doesn't have jacks here because they bet their jacks on the flop.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so an average player doesn't have any overpairs here. Therefore,
Yes.
therefore they are really, really, really capped. They also don't have any 10s here.
Yes.
player.
They're
So
very
they
few 10s here.
fucking capped. So I have to bet
I think
small.
it's ace king. I mean, I think if you were going to, range an average player here, this is high freak ace king.
So
You put in what, 200? Yeah, okay, 200 to
that's
3, okay.
200, because maybe an average player sometimes calls off with his ace king and his ace queen here,
Yeah,
right?
oh god, okay, good.
And he calls.
And he mucks.
No, he doesn't muck. He shows me how much a better player he is.
Oh god. He's not a better player.
Yes, he is.
Why is he a better player if he's showing his hand to you, giving you free information?
Oh, no, because because I know him and I know that he is better than me, and he knows that I know that he is better than me, and he is proving it. And we discussed this hand later.
Okay. Well, did he show you at the table?
He showed me at the table. You
Did
can
he flash you and not show anyone else?
No, he showed everybody. Now,
Um,
he's still, no, trust me, he's better than me. This is not the only hand I played against him. This player is better than me. You can argue that he shouldn't do this, and I will accept that. But he
no,
also,
I didn't know there was a dynamic between you guys, and you guys had kind of friendly. That's no worries.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about his fold, which I would never find.
he didn't
So
fold.
Sorry?
He called.
Oh, he called. Sorry.
Oh, he called. He just showed me how much money I didn't get. He did not show this to me like, oh, what a bad beat. No, this was not, I got screwed with kings. Poker is not fair. This was, congratulations. You got $250 when you hit your set. Is that what you counted as your implied odds before the hand when you called me?
I see your point.
That's
Yeah.
what that needle was. He didn't say any of those words. That's what he meant.
So okay.
So
Okay, go ahead, Derek.
My
When
note
I
by
flop-
real time was, what the fuck?
when I flop a set of sixes,
Mhm.
I consider it a world-class disaster if you only get one bet.
Yeah, I got two, but it's still a disaster. I agree.
I consider it a minor blunder if you get one or
Right.
two.
Yeah.
So,
But are you betting out on this flop? Are you gonna?
oh, fuck yeah! Like
Oh, you're
I play it so fast because when I flop a set, if I don't get like 300 big blinds, it's a disaster.
So you're not going for a check raise on this. You're just going for
No. I'm not going for a check raise. I'm
Okay.
not trying to win one bet or two bets. I'm trying to win like
Okay.
300 big blinds.
Okay. So you're gonna bet
So my
200.
brain is thinking, how can
Yeah.
I get 300 big blinds here?
So let's take a look at it. You're gonna bet 200. What's your bet gonna be on the flop? What
So,
size?
like I said, immediately when this sort of shit happens, I take the effective stack size,
Right.
subtract the pot and divide by 3.
Okay. So that's gonna be
So
2,400
that
minus
means
300
if you-
minus 2,200. So 700. So you're gonna bet 700 right here.
So, like, if I want to get it in 2, I'd bet 700, right?
Okay.
So if I think I'm gonna probably have to get it in 3, right?
Yeah.
So then I think, how can I bet 700 on the turn?
Right. By betting 200 on the flop.
So then I decide I want to make the pot 700.
Right.
So that means I have to pot it.
Right. So
If I'm gonna get stacks in by the river.
you're gonna
So,
get there.
like-
To do this, Derek. So if you go just slightly under, if you go just for round numbers, if you go 200 here, then there's 628 in the pot, and he's got 21 left. Now you bet the 700 on the turn, and you have no problem. And then he's got 14, and everything works out. Yeah.
So that's
So you're gonna go pot,
that's-
pot, pot.
so
Okay.
so I guess, like, as I have this huge tell that if I'm betting so that I can get all the money in by the river, I might have a set, right? So that's a tell that I have, but I don't care because
Might.
my players don't
So your
fold
opponents,
enough.
your opponents are not capable of folding aces and kings there.
No, no, no. Like if my opponents have kings, 100% of the time I'm getting, like 300, 400 big blinds off them.
Right.
What if they have ace king?
Well,
Then
then I'm
they
fucked.
fold, then they fold the
Then
turn.
they fold.
They
And
fold,
and I say,
if they have ace king suited of spades, which would be great, in this world where it doesn't get there, when the 10 comes, then they call you. If they've got ace king with the ace of spades, they call one bet, and then they fold the turn if they don't pick up the spade.
I gotta ask
Yeah.
you one question here. Do you think this guy is like hyper, like what you're saying is he's top tier for this in this pool?
Yes,
How deep?
I don't know anyone there. I'm trying to think if I know anybody, if there's anybody in that casino who I think is better than him.
Do you,
He's in the top 5 in the casino.
when you watch him play, do you watch a lot of glances at opponents when he's in hand? I mean, do you think he is, for lack of a better way to put it, a live tail guy?
You mean, does he look for live tells?
Yes.
I don't think that's he's watching them, yes. I don't know how he relies on them. He's certainly got one on me in another hand that will either be in this, that we've either seen already or that we'll see. I think we'll see. I think we're gonna see it this day where he got a definite live tell on me.
I mean, I think when we go down the live tail
It's an
avenue,
easy
it
live
gets
tail.
very it gets very murky and kind of,
Yeah.
can very quickly devolve into paranoia.
Right.
However,
I don't have live tell on me. I do not believe that he had a live tell
Yeah.
that sixes here.
okay, gotcha.
What he
That
believes,
is, it is a very interesting way to play kings, and I'm just wondering what's driving his play here.
the way I'm gonna play. He's got the best hand, but he's not gonna get 3 streets against me. Without that I'm gonna put money in with my jacks, with my tens and my jacks and my queens. Anything I did this, and ace king was folding anyway, and he's not afraid of an ace falling off. So
Yeah.
that's, I believe, is what his thought process is. Now, does he always check kings behind on this board? No. Did he have the king of spades? Probably. I don't remember. I gave it to him. I think I gave it to him in our example. No, I didn't. I decided that he was being totally disrespectful and he didn't even have the king of spades. when he did it. But I don't actually know. I didn't see I don't remember which kings it was.
It feels like he's just playing against a very specific part of your range, which is what you had.
Yep.
And he's not playing against, I mean, you have jacks here, right? You do have 10, certainly. You have
Right, but I'm
sixes,
gonna bet,
certainly.
but I'm gonna bet my jacks on the turn a lot.
Okay, but you did bet on turn.
Right. He didn't know, right, but on the turn, that when the 10 comes, he now is shut down accurately.
Okay, gotcha. All right, the repeat 10 is what allowed
His-
him to go into a passive bluff.
Yeah,
bet.
yeah. His turn in river play. I'm not blown away by his turn in river play. Like, oh my gosh, how did he get me? I'm just fucked by his flop play.
His flop play is very unusual.
Yeah. Yeah.
On this texture.
Yeah, it is. Very-
And this is very, you think this is player dependent upon you?
No, I don't know that. I absolutely don't know that. This could be just straight up situational. What range raises, calls off this and goes on. I don't know that this is not very late in knowing each other.
Mhm.
This is where, before this, I suspected he was good. This is where it did this. And later in the day when we became a little more friendly and talky, I just said, and I said to him, I said, you don't have to answer this question, but talk about the Kings.
Okay, I got you.
And he said, he said, you're putting more money in on you're putting money in on the turn, with the hands that I want you to.
Okay.
And on the other hands, you weren't calling me with the other hands.
Okay, look, oh, and then the repeat
then-
10 showed
then
him
10
floating
comes.
down.
Then the 10 comes and and I didn't ask him about the turn. It was only the flop.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting play.
Yeah. Well, because on the turn, it's easy. He is way ahead or way behind.
Yeah,
On the turn. He just didn't realize why he was.
I understand. And so, and let's just repeat his argument for the flop check back was that you're gonna put money in with the hands that I beat anyway.
Yep. And And the risk he takes is he risks an ace falling off.
But he's a good enough player to not give.
Yeah. He risks an ace falling off, and he's not worried about my flush draws because my flush draws bet out and he gets the value from them that way.
On turn.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question, I'll leave it.
Yeah.
Let's reverse this here. Let's give you,
And I don't think he's
King-
doing this 100% of the time with kings. I just think that he protects his check back range sometimes with kings.
yeah, which is fine. But let's turn this around. Are you ever going to play kings this year? I'm curious, because I'm not sure.
Oh. No, I'm not that good.
All right, well, is
here we
this
go.
something then, if we think that he's the best player in the pool, that we should incorporate into our play?
No, and here's why. There are a bunch of other things that need to go along with this for this to be the right play in your whole game. And when we start getting those, this will be easy. Where we are now, we have kings, we bet, we protect ourselves from an ace, we charge a flush draw, we charge a straight draw. There are all kinds of good reasons to, to do the kings, and we don't have to, in a sense, we don't have to mix frequencies against the opponents we're playing right now.
Agreed.
And I don't have to mix frequencies against most of the players that I'm playing in this player pool.
So in a way, this is kind of a compliment towards your play, because he's saying he has to be somewhat balanced against you.
Yes, I feel so complimented. But yes, right. And by the way, I am not going to play balanced against him. And you'll see why this comes later. I'm going to change my play against him. And you'll
Okay.
see.
All
Okay.
right.
So,
So anyway, there's the hand.
so, like, I guess one thing that sticks out for me is that I always fast play. So maybe I should change
No,
if I'm
well,
playing good
you're
players,
not
or
against
if I
your player
move up
pool.
in stakes. If I move up in stakes, let's say
When
I
you
start
move up
playing
in stakes.
5-10,
When you move up
like-
in stakes, you need to change.
but I think I'm okay playing a very exploitable fast play everything, like never
Yeah.
not fast play.
Yes.
Like if this was 1-3, this would be a tremendous blunder, I think.
Yeah.
But it's
Yep.
not 1-3. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think
I would-
at 1-3 people would call off with kings.
Right.
Like you'd have his whole stack
But here's the thing though,
if you
with it.
fast play it.
But here's the thing, why this doesn't matter at 1-3. Let's say you bet, and they call off with kings. Great. Let's say you check raise. They still call off with kings.
No, I never check raise because
No, I'm saying if you did. I'm
okay,
saying
okay.
that so you had a bet strategy that got you all in against kings for 300 big blinds. And your game, my strategy was going to get me all in also. I was going to check raise, bet. He wasn't folding his kings to that either.
No, but in order for the check raise to work, they have to bet.
Right. They're going to bet kings. Your player pool bets kings 100% of the time here. 100%. Because
But I
they're
think
afraid of the flush draw coming and they're afraid of the ace coming and all those things that I said he wasn't afraid of.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get value, and they're trying to get value from a 10. And your player pool says the following. First of all, your player pool bets their kings 100% of the time. Then I check raise. They go, I have kings, fuck you. And they either jam it and you call and you're done, right? Or if they get a little scared, they call. Then the 10 comes and you bet the 10. They go, oh God, no, now I'm beaten by a 10. But they go, of course, that makes it less likely he has a 10. So he probably has a flush draw. So I call. Then on the river, the 9 comes and you jam all in and they go, it's a flush draw that's bluffing, and they call. So against your player pool, almost every path gets this all in.
Yeah. So that's why my brain is sort of like thinking,
Yeah.
holy fuck,
Yeah.
I always just play it fast.
Yeah.
Just play it fast. Just play it
But
fast.
check raise is also fast playing. Remember, check raising is fast playing.
Check
Yeah,
raising this
yeah.
deep, Derek, is the fastest way to grow the pot.
It's the most efficient way to get the pot without having, because now the rest of your bets don't have to be
Because
huge.
2 bets go in on the turn.
Yeah.
On the flop, sorry.
Yeah. And now on the
That's what
flop,
you're
you've
saying.
got a very much a bloated pot
Yeah.
with 2
That's-
streets to come.
Right. And they don't want to fold in a bloated pot. And. All right.
So if you wanted to have 4 bets go in, like say you're like 700 big blinds deep, you might.
Yeah, but also in yours, you did have to go pot. You had to go close to pot, close to. And some people can escape pot, especially with the paired 10. They might fold.
Yeah.
They might fold an overpair on the river. Pot, pot, pot. But with check raise, those other bets are so much smaller relative to the pot. But
Mm,
maybe not, you know. All right.
mhm,
On.
mhm.
My note in real time was, what the fuck?
So,
Derek, can I just add one thing real quick on this?
yeah.
So I like your lead. I mean, it's certainly a line and maybe it's one I should consider. However, I would say against your pool, which probably has a very linear check raising range. I'm sorry, 3-bet range pre, and we're in that situation. They're probably gonna bluff with their ace king, so you're at least gonna get 1 bet out of them when you take the check raise line. Whereas if
Mm.
you if you lead flop, they're gonna fold out a lot of their ace X, like their ace king and ace queen, which they're 3-betting. But if you check, they bet, and then you check raise, at least you're getting a bet out of that.
Yeah. But I guess my thoughts are I'm willing to sacrifice getting 1 bet out of them for a chance to get 3.
Okay,
Yes. Remember, Eric, I'm going to move on now, that the check raise line, when they don't make the bet, you can still bet on the turn in the river, and they're weakened. So against the range that does that, you probably weren't getting it all in because they're not checking back their kings there. And
Uh-huh.
when you check raise and they have a hand like kings, you're still getting it all in. So by check raising there, you have not sacrificed your ability to get all in for 300 big blinds in exchange for 1 big blind. That in exchange for 1 bet. Both of those paths get you to all in the cases where you were going to get all in anyway. Moving on, because I've now repeated myself and I don't need to convince you.
Okay.
Express myself clearly and go on. All right. This hand is also against the same player. And this is horrifying. If I remember this hand correctly. So small blind, I 3-bet the king queen suited. I feel good about this. He goes to 200.
So now you have position on him, or
I have
did you guys switch seats?
I could be remembering this hand. I could be remembering this hand wrong. This might not be the
Okay.
one I mean. I'm almost positive this is the one I mean.
Okay.
And yes, yeah, we could have changed seats. This could have been the next day.
That's a smart move. Yeah. Anyway.
Right. So here we go. So first thing to this, what do you guys want to do here?
okay, so, 10, we're playing 180 big, so we're gonna play 180 bigs effective right now, right?
Yeah, we were 200 big blinds deep to start the hand.
We're playing in position,
Yes.
and this is a smallish 4-bet range.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to do is, do we know anything about this player?
Yes, he's good. He's better than me.
I would call.
And what do you think he puts into this unusual 4-bet sizing? Can we agree this is a small 4-bet sizing?
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
small
agree.
blind 4-bets aren't meant to be large. It's small blind versus big blind.
Oh,
Even-
are they
Yeah.
Even though you're
smaller
out of
in-
position, they.
I didn't know that.
Now the fact that we're deeper though might change things. At least in like 100 big blind type
Yeah, the
nodes.
stack depth is gonna affect that too.
All right, let's look.
We'd have to go to Mike to get a 200 big blind. Sizing here.
Let's do it in peak first.
Alright.
Okay, so we have all the folds. I raise. No, he raises.
He
Raise.
raises small blind. You
I
raise.
3-bet.
Yeah, it's like basically a click back.
He 3-bets. He 4-bets
So
small.
maybe his size is fine.
Yeah, his size seems normal to me.
Okay, I'm off base here.
But that's assuming that's studied. Like, a lot of people don't know this. Like, look, even like Larry,
Okay.
you're like, you didn't realize this. And we study this a lot.
No, this is very niche, right? Like
Yeah.
blind versus blind 4-bet sizing.
200
We're
big
getting to
blinds
niche
deep. Yeah.
areas here.
I would go so far as to guess that he's better than every one of us. He's definitely better than me. And if I've studied this, he's studied at least this.
The reverse implied.
So
So-
with that in mind,
So can we look at the 4-bet chart? my guess is it's a call. That's my guess. It's a call.
Yeah, we're gonna, were we in peak? Yes, we
Yeah,
were
just,
in.
yeah, continue
Yeah.
there. What do we
Yeah,
got?
yeah,
I think
100?
King
we're
Queen
gonna-
is 100%
Yeah,
call.
we're
Yeah.
gonna call. Absolutely. Yeah, we got no question about that. Sorry.
Now, the one thing to think about is that also this guy's a very good player, but I don't think that his 4-bet range is going to be properly polar here. So,
Okay.
well, what do you think? Do you think he's gonna have a properly polar? Oh, interesting. Do you think he's gonna have a properly polar 4-bet range here?
Yeah, I guess the question is, Scotty, do you think he thinks you're gonna just overfold and only 4-bet with aces? And that's, whereas if you 5-bet him here, like he could be 4-betting light, thinking that you just overfold a shit ton.
He knows, here's my opinion. He knows that my 3-betting range contains bluffs.
Yeah.
He knows that I am not 3-betting only the top of only top of range.
Do you have a light 5-betting range?
No,
Like,
I'm just laughing
No.
because I love the way that the tone in your,
I
in your
guess I'm
response.
thinking that if you think that he plays post flop better than you do,
Well, you know
then
what?
light 5-betting. Like, let's say
Hero is in
he's
position though, so that means
Yeah.
something.
but out of position. I would think that if he plays better than you post flop, then you can reduce his advantage. Like, let's say his advantage post flop is, I don't know, 60-40. You can reduce it by reducing the stack size and depth. So maybe against him in particular, you might want to have a light 5-betting range if you think that he plays post flop much better than you do.
I think he plays post flop better than me do.
Well,
right.
then light 5-bet him.
There you go. Okay,
Does that make sense?
makes sense. I'm not going to do it
Why?
because
The deeper the stacks, the more his post flop advantage
right
is.
because I don't want to be in a pot that is that bloated with a light hand. I would rather fold those hands.
So you need to have a
Yeah, King Queen suited is right smack dab in the middle.
Right. So to do this, so to do what you're suggesting, which is a good GTO response. Let me get to did we do it in peak? Is that where we were?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Let's
did it
look
in
at
peak.
it.
How did I lose the thing? Oh, it's peak
Oh,
reset.
small blind.
Okay, so let's just do it again. Let's just fold
So
here. Let's
small
do it.
blind
Blind
raise.
raise. We re-raise. He goes 4. Let's look at what our bluffs are. Ace 3, ace deuce. King, look at these bluffs.
The King 6 wonder hand.
Yeah. So look at these bluffs.
So the King 6 wonder hand is because he might have ace 5.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting him on. So looking at this, if I do this against him, I become very hard to play against pre-flop. But there I am post-flop. Oh, I should say, point out one other thing about him. These are not even high stakes for him.
Holy shit.
Okay, so
He is
he's playing with
completely relaxed.
he's playing with pocket money, basically.
He wants to win and stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about. You can't put like
You can't
money
put money
pressure on him.
You
Is
can
he a
put
Pressure
pro?
on him.
Is he a for-profit full-time poker player?
I don't know if he's a full-time poker. No, he has another job. I do know that. He has another
Okay,
job.
then I think that you need to be 4-betting him light. Like, don't under 4-bet him.
Well, we're at a 5-bet choice here.
Yeah, I mean, don't under 5-bet him. So, right, because
I have to be
reduces his advantage.
Yes, but it puts me in a node that I'm much, much less comfortable in than he is.
I mean, you could play the ace 3 and ace 2 as an imposition 5-bet and go post, but the problem with that is that we do not have post flop solves in our brain for that. That is a part of the game tree
Right.
that none of us have studied.
Right.
So we're going into very much a murky region of how to play. This is a very, we're already in a very unique part of the game tree.
Yeah. So
And
this
so
this is theoretically sound, but I have to play post flop correctly in this incredibly bloated pot that he is going to be better at than me for now, until I'm better.
But you have but you have position and you have you
I have
have
I have
less
position.
stack depth.
I have position in an incredibly bloated pot, and I play worse than him. I don't want to be in this situation.
Well, I don't think calling is the route to success because that way you keep the stacks deep and
It is with king queen suited.
And
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
I
I'm
think
not
there
talking
is
about
a-
this specific hand. I'm talking about
So I'm gonna
In general.
so I'm gonna fold the ace 10, and I'm gonna fold the ace deuce, and I'm gonna fold the ace 3, and I'm gonna fold the king 3. I'm gonna fold all these, and I'm gonna be non-balanced here.
well, then you're fucked against
well,
the king
Derek, I
player.
would say one thing also that to consider is that you keep
I
on
have ace
saying
10.
that.
I'm gonna jam ace king 100% of the time. This is no, I'm sorry, Larry, you finish. I've already decided how I'm gonna play against this guy.
No, but
I hope he's not watching. I hope he's not watching this.
I'm saying this is wrong.
I
Right,
know, we hear you.
right. Now, Larry, make your point, and then I will tell Derek my point.
Okay, sorry, I got a little passionate there.
Okay.
The other part here is that actually we have advantage in position of deeper SPR. He does not. The
Uh-huh.
deeper
I
the
agree.
SPR, in theory, positional advantage goes more and more to the in position player.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Okay.
And suited cards go up in value
They do
as
so.
stack size increases.
So
Okay.
here is what my adjustment is going to be. And I'm going to turn off Zoom for this. Nobody gets to hear this.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm not going to turn off Zoom for this. Nobody's listening. My adjustment is going to be that I am going to fold these hands, these bluffs.
That's exactly what you should do. I
Okay,
think.
wait for it. I'm not going to go unbalanced. I'm going to fold these bluffs. I'm going to take my aces and kings for value 100%. And I'm going to bluff for bluff ace king and ace king suited 100%. These are bluffs compared to a lot of 4-bet ranges.
Yeah.
These are value. These are bluffs. That's how I'm going to do it.
The other question I have here is, okay, let's go. Let's talk.
And I'm not calling 7-5 suited. And I'm not calling 5-3 suited. And I'm not calling 9-7 suited.
Mm.
Let's talk about stack depth here. Where is your stack depth now? Because I'm curious. Okay, I'm curious about let's give you the top quadrant. Let's give you ace king and aces and kings. What is your sizing? I know we're getting a little bit off the hand, but what is your sizing here when he goes to 200?
Jam.
Okay. Jam.
Jam.
Yes.
Are you jamming aces?
Yes.
You're putting
Why are you jamming? Okay, tell me about.
Okay, I'm not jamming. All right, I lied. I'm not jamming aces because aces is easy to play after the flop. I'm jamming kings. I'm jamming queens. I'm jamming ace king and ace king suited. I'm raising aces. And until he figures out that the aces is the only hand that I raised and folds to all those raises, then I'll make an adjustment.
Okay, all right.
Aces, I'm not jamming. I said I was, but I'm not.
Yeah, you probably don't want to give away too much information. Too late. I squeezed it out of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so this
And
is
by the way, that's
also
going to come up later. The do you jam aces? The aces thing is going to come up later, not against this play.
and this hand is going to get even more interesting post flop. So we go post flop. Our
We go.
SPR is a little bit more than 4, and you
Yeah.
flop very well. And he bets out. What size does he bet here?
Tiny.
Tiny.
20 into 530. Tiny.
Okay, so we've got a million of options here. Mostly call.
Right. Mostly call. However, stack depth matters here, right?
It does.
Against just 4-bet range. Stack depth matters.
SPR, yeah.
So I want to know how much he has. So this is what happened. I did not look at the board. I stared at him. Before looking at the Jack 10 board and waited. Then I looked at the board. Then I called. That was easy. No problem. The turn, I did not see the board. I saw only him.
Okay.
He bets 320
It's 320 into, sorry.
into what was 600.
Okay, so he's polarizing a little bit here.
He's half pot and he's setting up an easy river jam.
Yeah.
Easy river jam here. Okay.
Okay,
So
he's offering you
amount-
25%.
Right. So the amount of money that he has behind matters here.
It does. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I need to know it, and I need to know how much it is.
So then you
asked-
shove.
I said, how much does he have left? He did not answer. I thought, I said, because he had a stack of whites and I couldn't easily, it wasn't trivial for me to count them. And I said to the deal, I said, would you just put those in half? Because my eyesight, it's difficult for me to see exactly how many those are.
Okay.
And he did not do it. And I asked the dealer, I said for a count. And I
The
believe
count of the stack?
of the stack, not of the, they were allowed.
Interesting.
Dealers are apparently allowed to do that. You
Okay.
can't ask them for a stack. You can't ask them for a count of the pot, but you can ask them for a count of the stack. The dealer did not give me a count of the stack immediately, but I got an answer. Either
Finally gave you an answer?
no, somebody else or something.
Okay.
Something allowed me to know that exactly what it was. Right. So I thought, and then I called from it. Now the question is, did this make it clear what my hand was to him? Did it make it clear that it was king, queen, and ace, king?
Yeah. That is an excellent question, and I would argue you certainly are now calculating odds and implied odds. Well, you're calculating implied odds.
That
This
is what
seems like a pretty clear. Oh, dude, I'm a very good player. The dude is calculating implied odds here.
I think that my play on this turn made it 100% clear that these were my hands.
No.
Because
Yeah.
they all have that same thought.
So
So-
the only
I,
change here is
I
that,
raise here
Okay.
all
well,
the
hold
time.
on, let me ask a question here first. Sorry, I'm sorry. This is, well, no, never mind, it's not important. Go ahead. Jared, what's your question?
I think that I raise here. Like I just shove it in.
Then why don't you do it here when you've got two cards to come? This seems like a better raise. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got two overs and I've
No,
got
but
a straight draw.
I can make like a pot size bet on the turn here.
Yeah.
Because he bets so small on the flop and the
Okay.
turn.
So his
That
half
pushes
pot
me
bet
over
is,
the edge to
And so
just
you-
shove it in.
and when you raise, you shove here, right?
Oh yeah, just shove it in.
Okay.
So
Because then you
that's,
have fold equity.
yeah, okay, that's a play. The issue with that play in theory is that we only get called by better and we often fold out worse.
We
In
have
other
king
words,
high.
it's very, we're gonna get
We can
always
say
called
about
by
ace
hands
king.
that are ahead. And a lot of the hands that were behind that our dogs does now are gonna fold. However, he still has one additional street on river, which he may portray, boom. He may portray the value of his hand on river with
So you're
sizing.
Right.
keeping his bluffs in is what you're saying.
Now, Larry, there's one thing you said there. You said he only folds better, and I disagree in this one case.
I make a mistake. Did I say that? He only folds worse.
He
calls
only
it
folds
better.
worse and he calls, no, he only folds worse. And that's where I disagree.
Okay.
Whether I raise here on the flop or on the turn, you know what? I'll give you two hands that he folds here. I block both of them, but he folds
Ace,
them.
king, ace, queen.
Ace, king, and ace, queen. They
Yeah.
fold.
Yeah, that's valid. You have a good point. You have a very good point.
If I had ace, king, or ace, queen, then it's not true.
So Derek, I can get, I might, so I think I'm frankly too far up Theory's ass sometimes. And Theory just doesn't have a lot of imposition shoves here.
Yeah.
But your play might have more value and I'm not in street poker enough.
Right. And if I wanted to do Derek's idea, I would be much happier doing it here.
Getting 2 streets is what you're
When I-
saying.
Well, when I've got 2 cards, I've got 2 cards to come. I mean, my equity against ace jack here is great.
Yes.
My equity against jack 9, which he doesn't have. I mean, what does he have here? My equity against queens is pretty good here. I've got 12 outs against queens. That's good. I've got 9 outs against kings. That's bad. I've got against ace jack, I've got 14. Right? Plus a backdoor flush.
No.
Yep.
I
That
got,
counts as 1.
yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Here, I've got a lot less, a lot less equity. Now, if you say that this 320 absolutely portrays that he doesn't have his overpairs here, I don't agree, but it might. But if you think it portrays it, then the jam is good.
I don't know.
So he
How
does this.
scared are you? Like, I don't know. Do you think that he can fold over pairs?
Yes, I think he can fold over pairs.
Then you can shove.
Right. That doesn't mean he's going to on this card.
Yeah.
But yes, I believe this is a person who can fold over pairs. And to a 9, to a queen. The 7 is a little tougher because I've got to have raised 8, 9 suited. I don't think the 7 is generating a lot of folds to my jam. But anyway, he does that. Now, on the river, 600.
B50?
Please call me, he's saying. Please call me.
Is that a B50?
Yeah, it's B50. He doesn't jam river,
Yeah. So
which feels like what maybe aces, kings, or queens might do. They also might check.
we just don't
Think
have fold
Jack-
equity. Yeah.
Do we think Jack would do this? No, we don't think
Maybe.
it does this.
I don't think we have fold equity now.
So we just fold, right?
I
Yeah.
don't really know any. So what pot odds are you offering in energy show?
A lot. Let's see. So I shove for 700 into a pot of 2,400. It's going to be, call it 600 into 3,000 to make the math easy. So 5 to 1.
It's hard for me to see. It's hard to, so it folds out ace king and it folds out ace queen. We don't like having king queen here. We're blocked essentially. Okay. Let's look at this. Let's go back to first principles. Are we unblocking auto folds and do we block value?
Do we block value? We block queens and kings. Those are
We do.
value. We block, and those make sense with his line. We block king jack and queen jack, and they don't make a lot of sense with his line. There's not a lot of four betting with king jack suited and queen jack suited.
So maybe it's the blocker story maybe it's a little bit murky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also is this an under bluffed or over bluffed line?
If I jam here, what am I representing?
Jack X.
Jack X and flopped sets.
Yeah.
All right. Now, turn. I asked how much he had. I didn't make my decision until I knew how much he had on the turn.
Yeah, so that speaks to
That a jack?
exactly.
Is that a jack? Is that a set?
Not unless you got fancy reverse tells.
Right, not unless I'm going full on Hollywood.
Like, I think in his brain, he's thinking, last time I didn't raise my kings.
This is a different.
So when I was in position,
This is not a jack.
so you might be thinking, maybe I'll play it differently.
This is not a jack from him. I don't think. If he has any read on me, this is not a jack from him. And
Yeah, I think your point. Did you think about the fact that maybe you gave away a tell on turn in game?
yes,
Like, he's
I th-
thinking, I invested showing kings in an earlier hand. Now I'm
I
gonna
think,
make
yeah,
that-
I think I think we fall there because we essentially, yeah, we had a beautiful implied on hand here, and we had the proper stack depth to call on turn. You didn't get there. He triple barrels into you. I think we just. You're getting the proper. You played this fine. You had a tremendous implied odd hands. You called.
There's nothing wrong with what you did on the turn,
You
except I would
called
have
flop. You
shoved.
called turn. He triple barreled into you. There could have been room for if he did if he had some kind of give up with ace king or ace queen on river, we can make a choice there.
right.
But he triple barreled into you. The sizing is not definitive. It's non-polarizing, but you just gotta fold.
If he's playing ace five, like the four betting ace five, you got a six, 5 bet king six.
So with this, to give you an idea of how much the tell on the turn was clear, there's another player at the table here who is perfectly fine, maybe better than me, maybe about as good as me, maybe much, certainly he's definitely not worse than me, and he might be much better, but he's in my range. He's at least as good as me. Okay. And the reason I know that this is an ace five suited is because he showed it. He
What
did
an
not.
asshole.
Yeah, yeah. He's got an ego. When he showed it, the other player said, well, you were probably still ahead because the other player knew I had king. Queen. The player who was not even in hand,
I see your point.
I had king queen.
Yeah. So if there was an error, I think, there was a clear tell about what kind of hand you had on turn.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue that but you do want the information.
Yep.
That maybe is a pre-flop question. So when he puts in this format here,
That's when you ask.
that is when you ask.
Good.
Now, a lot
Yeah.
of people think of that as, I got this last night when someone 3-bet me and I had a middle pair. And he says, Larry, you always fold after you ask how much I have behind. And then I wanted to say, yeah, it's because I didn't say this, but what I said in my head is, yeah, because I always ask and you're other side of the table and I don't have the implied odds when you tell me your broken stack size. I didn't
Right.
say that. But
Yes.
people think it's just posturing, right? When
Right.
you ask that question, like you're just playing some kind of metagame. But what we're really doing is understanding what our implied odds are going to be. So
And we can do this also when we have aces and kings because we have a reason we want to be calculating our things. We have lots of different hands that want to do it pre-flop, but here on the turn, only a couple of hands want to do it. And
yes, yeah. So let's ask that question. I would ask that question pre when he sticks in the 4-bet,
Mm-hmm.
and we take it from
Yep. That's really good. That's gonna be my new thing. That's my other change. That's
Wow.
really good. Thank
no
you.
worries, mate.
All right. And then I went home.
Good session. Well, I think it probably was not profitable, but good session.
It was not profitable. All right, we go back. We have more live hands.
I am fine with, I want more I love live
What
hands.
we're doing. This is one, is Mike still here? I don't have my,
Mike is still here. He's sticking
Good.
in.
Mike, turn on your mic. This is gonna be all about you, this hand. All right, so we start the game. It's shorthanded and there's nobody I recognize. Seat 2 is a large old guy and his opening size is 60 in this game. That's our first
Nice.
note we put in live.
Nice.
We get this hand. Ace 8 suited. Oh, and this hand, yes, this hand is regular 2, 5, 10. Here we go. We get a call. We're going to 3-bet him. We 3-bet to 35, could also go to 40. Both are
So this
suited.
is Old Man Coffee, older than us.
Nope, this is not the old man.
Okay.
This is just, these are my notes. These are my notes live. The first thing
Got
I wrote, I sat down, I look at seat 2, he goes to 60 and I make a note of it.
Okay, got it.
Not this guy
C2. Okay.
in the day. All right, ace 8. And
All right. He donks.
he donks. So Nuffle says call. We know that. This is you're on this, Mike. Nuffle says call. We know this. Backdoor flush says this. Overcard says this. 2 different backdoor straights.
Okay, let's go beyond texture and go to pop reads, right?
Yeah.
Population reads are generally a donk is not top of range.
No.
Okay, so let's also put the meta, the population read in.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need to fold to this right now. Nuffle says call. Other things say call. I said
Mhm.
call. King of hearts comes. He bets 60. Does
60
Nuffle take it
into like 100, right?
into 142?
Okay.
So B40, what is that?
B40. All right, so now
Yeah,
do
call.
we-
Let's take the rake out, bring this down to 135 with the rake out. And this is 60 into 135. So this is B45.
you're gonna Nuffle, now's your time.
Nuffle is a raise here?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Does Nuffle care about text? Nuffle generally does not care
No.
about texture, right?
Nope, not typically.
okay. So my thought on this was, I think Nuffle says this is a raise. I wish that Mike was here to tell me. This 60 feels a lot like a 10 or a jack. You know, he had a 10, he had a jack, something like that. This king comes. This is an overcard to it. He can't feel good about it. So I can
Also, how many flush draws you have that are calling?
right. And I called with all my flush draws here. So that was my one look at it. My next thing was his flush draws are represented in there. I do not block flush draws and the flush draw completed. This doesn't feel like the right size for it, but all that is true. I have a straight draw now. I did pick up that equity, but only 3 outs of it are anywhere clean, and I could be drawing dead. And I said, I'm not playing Nuffle without having studied Nuffle, and I just folded.
All right, so let's go back here for a second. Let's talk about first point, right?
Yeah.
This is a blind versus blind battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are our ranges widest?
Blind versus blind.
Okay. So that I would say, and Mike can correct me, that I would say does argue for employing I don't give a fuck Nuffle. Point 2, I would argue, is that we know that he rarely is top at range. Point 3 is let's look at more closely at sizing on turn. So go back 1 click,
Right here.
142, he bets a 60.
Yep.
All right, so he's non-polarizing here.
That doesn't feel like a flush.
No, sir. I think you could, Mike, I defer to Mike, but I think you go 275 and then you B75 river.
Right. I think that Hungry Horse would consider very much saying This is never a flush at this size, therefore I can get him to fold range by the river. Put in a raise now and jam river. And
Yeah,
put in
I
a
think-
raise now that he calls with a pair or two pair.
Mike, what do you think?
Well, yeah, Nuffle will say to bet the size of the pot plus his bet. So you'd make it like 210 or whatever.
Right.
And then river, and assuming he just calls
Mhm.
and you don't get there,
Right.
and assuming he checks, then you're going to bet B like a B30, like a small size bet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Why
Gotcha.
B30, not a
I'm
B70?
sorry. I'm sorry. B70 on it when he checks.
Yeah, it's a B70 on river.
Yep.
Right. And Hungry Horse is going to be very jammy there.
Eat it all, yeah.
Now, the question is, that's with assuming that we believe that the 60 is never a flush.
Yeah, we are making assumptions here, and we are gonna run into a brick wall. You can argue that there'll be indicators of a brick wall on turn out of position when you raise it right here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what are his brick walls? Obviously, if any flush,
Mm-hmm.
with like fives maybe, but his sizing is not indicative of top of range. And also the other argument here, and I can be stand to be corrected, is that generally someone who's donkey is playing a bit more face up with sizing than what they should.
Mm-hmm. The size feels like a 10 or a jack.
Yeah, I think you can employ Nuffle here. Now, I know this is well within your bankroll, right? So that's not an issue.
Nope.
And so I think this is and maybe we don't want to, this is what I would do, Scotty.
Mhm.
This is a great place for Nuffle. I would experiment with Nuffle online.
Gotcha. So here
So-
is, one
So-
last thing. I'll give it to you, Derek, really quick.
Okay.
This is also very early in the session with people I don't recognize. So I do not, I do not have I don't have a specific opinion of his bets yet. I was just doing generic. Okay, Derek, you go.
So, just so I understand, Nuffle is when you get donked into, then you raise them pot and then 70%. Is that Nuffle,
You're up, Mike.
Mike?
Sorry. No, Nuffle is just a strategy based on fishy players who donk into you on a flop that you were the initial raiser.
Right.
You do not raise flops. You actually continue with 100% of your range and then continue from there.
Depending on their
The-
size.
Yeah,
Then on
depending
the
on their
turn,
action.
then if they redonk small, you pot them and then bet 70. Is that what you do?
Yeah, well, yeah, again, depending on your hand as well. Like you may have value or you may have air. In this case, Scotty has air, and his draws and his air are treated the same. He would raise. Yep.
So I kind of don't play Nuffle usually, like don't like try to bluff my player pool off hands because usually
should.
I think they don't
You shouldn't, because
bluff.
your strategy
They
is
don't
built
fold
on the
enough.
fact that they don't fold, and that's how you get it. That's why you play your small pairs and your suited connectors the way you do, and your
Yeah.
bases, because you're going to get 300 big blinds from them. You cannot simultaneously believe that they will overfold and that they underfold.
Yep, I agree. So I'm just going into it like I play a very face up,
Yep.
dumb style because I think that's what's required. So I think that I probably have to change the way I play if I want to move up in stakes.
I think so. But while you're at those stakes, so there's two ways for you to look at it. One is I'm at the stakes I am to make money, in which case you should continue what you're doing because you have an excellent hourly rate. And I don't mean big blinds per hour. I mean dollars per hour. You are playing in a game that is worth your time. Okay.
Yep.
Or You should say that my reasons for playing poker are also hobby, and I want to get better at it, and I want more of a challenge, and I want a chance at making more money at a higher stake, and therefore I should do it. It's based on what interests you. But you're not playing 1-2-2 and taking home $8 an hour. You're not wasting your time. You're making real money.
No, I want to win stacks.
Yeah, you're making money at your game, so you can continue to play your game and make money and have fun. And you
Yeah.
can continue studying with us, and then when you're ready to move up, you probably will have to change your strategy. So maybe play the bigger game one day, one day every 2 weeks.
I was gonna play 2-5
Yeah.
next time I play. I
Yeah,
don't
go
think
do
that's that big a
Go do that.
difference.
Go do that and see what it feels like. Because if your strategy works at 2-5, if that's how they play also, then you should be at 2-5 and not at 1-2 playing your strategy. All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
Can I go
Okay,
back
I'm gonna
and
try
ask, Mike? Sorry, go ahead, Derek.
Go ahead. Okay. No, I was just saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Good.
Because
Can we go back? Mike, can I ask you a question real quick?
Mhm.
How often, given the opportunity to employ Nuffle on Ignition, how often do you take those opportunities?
Every single time that I consider the player to be fishy.
Okay, and scale 1 to 10, 10 being hyper profitable, 1 being a dog, like incredibly money losing. Where do we rank your Nuffle experience?
It's been ridiculously like good. Like the results I'm pretty amazed at how often it just gets through. I'm
Okay.
like flabbergasted by it, to be honest.
Could I make one final proposal? Would you ever consider filtering for Nuffle employed hands?
Yeah, I've
In your
been
database
considering
and
doing that.
bring them
oh,
to
that'd be
us?
great.
So great.
That'd be great.
All right.
I'd love
Would you
to see
consider
that.
doing it for tomorrow?
We could do that.
All right.
Yay. That's our
All of
plan
a sudden,
tomorrow.
all the poker nerds cheer in unison.
All right. Nuffle
So
hands
if we could
tomorrow.
see, I mean, I would love to watch you talk about Nuffle for 2 hours. I mean, that's how poker nerd I am. I would really like to hear you talk about Nuffle for 2 hours, because I was able to filter for Nuffle-esque hands in my database. I'm sure you can do it as well.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can really talk about it because it's really just a straightforward kind of thing,
Let's
like flow chart to follow.
It
So
is.
whether or not I can articulate why, I mean it's easy to see because they knock with very poor.
Oh, and that's even fucking great because it's Ignition. We can look at their hands.
Shut up. Stop
Yeah,
saying
you'll be
that.
able
Stop saying
to
that word.
see.
Stop saying that word.
Which word?
Okay, sorry. It's something, and we can look at their something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I would love to see that tomorrow, Mike, if you are open to doing that.
Oh, sure.
All
right, man.
That is it. It's Nuffle News Day.
Nuffle News Day.
Yeah, I
Whatever that-
can't wait. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So now the notes. So seat 2 did an Olymp and open limp and did a back raise and then showed 1 ace. So we have that little note. It's now 8-handed and in seat 1, we have an 80% plus accurate fold tell on seat 1. So we like this. And we're in seat 8. So they're going to be after us. So every hand before we act, we look at seat 1 and we know whether or not they're going to play their hand. And so far we it's not that it's 20% inaccurate. I'm from the number of times I've seen it, I'm saying that fold tell is at least 80% accurate. And I'm in my own head, I'm saying it's 100% accurate, but that's not true. But that's what I'm saying to myself. All right. Yay for our hero. All right. This limp here is from our pure old man coffee who does have bluffs, but his entire opening range is a limp.
Interesting. Let's talk about sizing here. So I like live. I like going bigger. I would go to 70 to 100 here live. I want to play big pairs heads up, period.
Right. He has got a ton of folds to 70 to 100 gets through
Okay, I see your point.
at this
Yeah.
table. This is what we know. When we
So he has a very, very wide. He has a very, very.
we have his 100% opening range is here. This is his 100% opening range there. And if we go to 70, we are very, very likely to just take it down pre-flop. He's gonna fold a lot to that, and so are these guys.
Okay, got
And
it.
he's gonna call 30 100% of the time.
Okay, so you are going to
Go to 45.
Okay.
And then
this, okay, now can we go back? This is my argument as to 70. You're now
Right.
playing a king's massively multi-way
Right.
out of position.
Right, that's bad. I'm with you. This is bad. And just to point out with this is not common what happens at 45. It
Okay,
happens this time.
this is an anomaly, if you would.
No,
Let's clarify, Scotty. It's not bad. It's just not as good.
it's not as good.
Yeah.
This is better than going to 70 and getting all folds.
Okay,
Not
we
as
don't want,
as going to 60 and getting one call.
okay, so I would argue that if this is what's happening, so how, you're saying this does not happen often when you're ISOing.
Right. But it's not rare. What I'm saying is this. If this was the standard thing, I would not be at 45.
Got it. Okay.
What I have concluded about this table is that, that 45 here is going to get me heads up more than 50% of the time. And it's going
Okay.
to go multi-way more than 10% of the time.
Got it.
Okay. 70 is going to go multi-way less than 15% of the time.
However,
And is going to get folds from my opponent here. Let's see, he's going to fold to 70. He's going to fold 80% of his range. That was
okay, then 70 is too big, but there is some sweet spot in here, maybe.
55.
Yeah.
50
Okay.
would
So,
be 55.
so one difference, so my pool, they are very inelastic. If they have a hand and they want to play it, they don't
Yeah.
give a fuck.
I should have gone to 55 in this situation.
Yeah, we're
Knowing everything that I know, and that includes what their hands were, I should have gone to 55. 45 was exactly, even 50 would have been good. I should have gone to 55. All right. 10-6-4. I have the king of diamonds.
all right.
The guy sitting next to me is Carlos. Carlos is an experienced player and he knows some things. That doesn't mean he's good.
Would you describe him as a street poker?
Absolutely.
I love the term street poker because I'm envious of people who know how to play street poker. I'm too
I
far.
believe he is. I believe he is street poker. I believe he has had a lot of experience at the table. He is completely comfortable. He knows things about poker. That's not the same as being studied. He may be studied. I don't know. I suspect he is not. But he knows things. And this hand is why I suspect he has not studied. All right. So this seems like an easy check with kings to me.
I agree.
We get a bet and a raise, we fold.
Can you talk about why it's a easy?
Yes. So,
Because I bet this hand.
of course you do. Everyone does. And they should. And here's why you don't. You have to remember your internal Joey, right? If you were in the, by the way, if you were in the button, you would bet this hand. If you were in the cutoff, you would bet this hand. I've got two players behind me. My check allows them to make more mistakes and also allows Carlos to bet and player 9 to raise and me to fold. It also allows Carlos to bet, player 9 to call, or worse, Carlos to bet, Joe to call, and me to reluctantly call or maybe even fold, but doing a lot of folding on turns. And the reason is when you go multi-way, one pair rarely wins in a hand where two other opponents are interested in the pot. Right? That's
Right.
that's your basic thing. An overpair, not even an overpair. One pair rarely wins when two other people are interested in the pot multi-way. This is
Yep.
more than multi-way. This is multi-way plus one. I don't think I have the worst hand here yet. And if it goes check through and and a diamond comes off, fine. And if an ace comes off, oh well. So that's my opinion. If I were the very first to act, I would be definitely checking. If I were the last to act, I would be definitely betting. And if I were in Carlos's position, I would consider.
Yeah. I
Alright,
like it.
so Carlos bets 120 into a pot of 197. He bets big.
It does.
Against this big size, I'm now thinking of folding to a single call
Agree.
from someone else. No calls.
Okay.
Easy call.
So Carlos did you a favor here. He cleared out equity.
Mhm.
And he's saying he's got a fuck off big hand. What is his range?
What is his range? He has 10x. He has flush draws. He has sets. He doesn't have two pair.
He does not have two pair, agreed. He does
Um,
have flush draws, agreed. We like having the king of
Right.
diamonds.
I would say that he rarely has pocket fours here. He often has pocket tens here. He can definitely have pocket sixes here.
Okay, so it's 6 combos.
Yeah.
I think there's only 6 combos that are ahead of you right now here.
That's what I
Agreed.
put at this moment. And by the way, at the time, I want to put this, at the time, this is what I put him on. Right now, I put him on a different range.
Sorry, can you say that again?
I said, at the time, in game, what I just said to you was that's the range I put him on.
Okay,
10x, flush draws, pocket sixes, pocket tens, and a little bit of sevens, eights, and nines.
okay. All right. But now you give him a different range after seeing Showdown.
Yes. Now I give him his exact two cards
Okay,
because
all
I
right.
know what they are.
Okay, so this is okay, we like this river generally.
Like this turn.
I'm sorry, this turn.
Yep.
But he is very polarized with his sizing. I would check. He bets half pot, is that correct?
He bets a half pot.
I see no reason to check raise here. I really like a call.
Yep. I see a lot of 10x now.
Yeah, did
Lot
not, he kind of downsized.
A lot of 10x.
Okay, and so our SPR now is like 1.5 or whatever.
Yep.
With 4.
Yep.
And this jack is pretty good. He does have jack to his range, certainly.
Yeah.
And a
Some jacks.
check,
He has some jacks.
and he
Goes 600.
B50s, right?
Yeah.
I'll be call.
No, B75s.
B75s. Okay, so he triple barreled. What is his range? So flush draws. So what did no draws got there that I can recognize?
Nope.
Except maybe Jack 10 is possible, right? I mean, you have hands that beat him. So this doesn't feel like a set. I think people get more greedy with a set. With what is now a boat. Jack 10 is possible, but let's not focus on what beats you. What are you okay, let me put it this way. Do you
Jack
have a
10
pure
doesn't
bluff
beat-
catcher
Jack
or
10
are
does
you
not
beating
beat you.
value?
I beat Jack 10.
Oh, you do cheat Jack 10, yes.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
what we like.
sorry. I
Like the 4.
always brain fart that.
Yes.
Are you beating value?
Yes, what he perceives as value. Yeah, there are hands that he perceives as value that I beat.
All right, well, this is an easy call.
Yeah, I called easily. This is why that's why we think that he is not a studied player, but we definitely know that he's an experienced player. I mean, we know that from his comfort at the table. He has been there a lot. Yep. So that was the question. Calling it was river. We're not folding the flop. We're not folding the turn, but do we fold the river? And did anybody there want to fold the river? Hello, Michael. Hello, Jacob. I can't talk to you guys now, but I will in 45 minutes. No, I'm not playing poker. I'm doing poker. Okay. So, did anybody here want to fold the flop? I will feel free to say it out loud, or fold the river.
I'm totally fine with the way that you played it.
Yep.
I don't see anything wrong with the way you played it. When they
Yeah.
get Jack 4, give them a pot.
All right. That's what happened.
That's poker.
There we go.
That's
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay. And the notes we have on this are, here is another hand I played badly against the best player. Oh, this is miserable. And this is never happening. This is not going to happen again. Okay. We have ace king.
He says with dread.
with dread. All right, here we go. So limp, raise, re-raise, right? Easy re-raise,
Absolutely.
right? You can argue this is the wrong size.
I like
I
your
think
size.
I think I'm fine with it. You got the
What
button.
what size would you prefer in retrospect?
You can argue that this should, because of the limp behind, that this is the right size against this raise, but against this limp, this should then become pot size, and so it should be 135 plus 145, 155, 160.
All right.
You can argue that this is a better 160 than 135.
Sure.
Okay. But it's certainly, you can also do this and say 135 accomplishes everything that 160 does. You know, he's still folding. You're still going to be heads up. He's still folding the same range that he folds to you. You just get a little less money in the pot, and he still four bets you with what he four bets you with, and it's, you know, the size, right? There's nothing about this that says I'm weak. All right, here we go. 475.
Uh-huh. What do you know about this player?
Mm-hmm.
This is the player who's better than me. This is the player who had ace five suited,
Hmm.
but in a different configuration. This is,
We are 240 big blinds.
that's the problem. With
Hmm.
100 big blinds, we know what to do here.
Correct.
Just jam, let's go. Whatever. You have aces or kings, you have it. You have queens.
Let's look at his sizing here too. His sizing, his sizing here is extraordinarily big, which it should be in theory, right? Because in theory, you're very deep.
Yeah.
I like his sizing a lot.
35.
I like his sizing.
260, 3. So he's going 3.5. That's your
Mhm.
sizing.
Yeah. I like it.
This is really uncomfortable. I don't dislike it. This is the reason I'm not as comfortable as you playing deep stack, Derek, because I'm not as familiar with big
No,
lot
but
stuff here.
if you want to get lots of money, you want to play deep stack.
I
There's
know.
no other path.
I understand your argument.
So drop down in stakes and play deep stack.
Okay.
Although very often when you're down in stacks, they aren't deep stacked.
Yeah, true.
That too.
I
That's
don't
why
know
you
what to
flip
do here. I mean, we're not folding. I don't know what the right answer is here.
I know what the right answer is tomorrow. And the reason was the depth. Okay?
Yes, that is why I am flummoxed,
Right. Tomorrow, this is going to be a jam.
because you know his range.
No, not because I know his range, because of this. So there's the ace king. There's that. There's 200. It is a small bet.
So what did the chart say you should do? Like
Well,
what
first of all,
does
the chart is fucked up because this initial limp here changes the ranges because he's no longer has a hijack range.
yeah, but it doesn't change it that much, right?
Let's
just
put
say-
him, let's give him, let's put him here. And if you want to go by a chart, and so we're going to put him here. He raises, we're on the button with our ace king, which by the way, doesn't even.
So we can call.
Yeah, we can. We go to here. Okay, then it comes
Yeah.
back on him. He does that. And now we call. That's what the
Yeah,
chart says.
so we're calling our range pretty much.
Yeah. that's
And
what-
our
It's a fold, but mostly
because he's so strong, but that's what we put him here. Now you put him in, you just do this. You put him in low jack. And now my button mostly is getting there. Go to the 24. Yeah, it's getting it. It's a call. And then in his actual position, which is not exactly right. Now the ace king mostly here. Still a call. Yeah, we call. This is all 200 big blinds deep. That's why.
Yeah, we want.
That's good though, right? You want it to be deep.
We're-
You
yeah,
are deep.
yeah, we are. But now if we just look at what we're used to, why those numbers look,
Okay.
if you want to look at the same thing under what we're used to, you've got that, you've got that back on us.
No, back on at LP.
Oh, back on, oh, right, here we go. He goes 24 and we,
Shove it in their face.
yeah, this
Shove
is
it
easy.
in.
Right, that's easy.
Yeah, but all of a sudden you're stacked up for.
And that's it under gun +1, okay? Turn on the lights. Push right there. Okay, don't turn on the lights. Okay. We have multiple jugglers in my house now. So what you hear crashing is going to be that. There are 3 jugglers in the house. Okay. So
Well, now, right now you're juggling different social
Okay.
obligations, aren't you?
exactly. There's 200. So in the 200 land, it's a call. And now this is where this is a mistake. But this is where we're getting a little bit of fear on my part, which is, here we go. Boom. We're here. He bets tiny,
Yeah.
which is correct. I don't have a heart. And my feeling is I call here and I don't get it on the turn and I get pushed off my equity for another 200
Mm.
because his read of my call is going to be correct
Yeah. So
now.
did he flash his hand? Is that when you know what's
No.
up?
No, we don't, you didn't flash his hand here. We just,
So how do you feel about this fold in retrospect?
I feel fine about making this decision. What the change is to put myself in this position is that my next one is I'm just jamming 200 big blinds here.
Okay, and I'm open to that, but I want to kind of understand why.
His range includes the bluffs. I block aces and kings.
So he's got a properly polar range here.
He has a properly polar range. He has a properly polar range, and I'm perfectly fine with taking my equity against that range compared to being outplayed post flop too often.
Okay.
I don't do this against people who are not better than, if you're playing against Phil Ivey, you want to go, you might want to go mega polar. You might want to, you might want to just choose an all in or fold strategy and completely cancel his advantage if you have to play against Phil Ivey, and then you'd like to not play against Phil Ivey.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an egregious overfold by you here.
Yes, this is the
yes.
fold.
Absolutely.
But you're folding because you feel what? You feel
Fear.
like he's going to outplay you.
Fear.
Okay, so we know that. Okay, so that's all right. So you're being honest, and that's why that's what makes this, frankly, an interesting session. Okay,
Yeah.
we know this is a mistake, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because
And-
I misheard you because I heard you say, I'm okay with this fold, but I may have misheard you.
No, I'm okay with making the mistake of the jam at 200 big blinds
Oh, okay, gotcha.
to avoid this mistake.
Well, why? Okay.
Scotty, I think this is a bigger mistake than pre-flop.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not down with your idea of shoving 200 bigs free here when you've got position. I mean, I totally see your point, and I remember 10 years ago starting to play poker and someone saying, "Hey man, when you're playing someone a lot better, then you just run the fucking equity." I get that, but I think 200 big blinds deep here when you have position. I don't know, man. I don't know if you need to ameliorate his. Well, there's two options. There's two things here. You're uber deep and you're in position.
Yes.
Those are two things that are speaking to the value of you calling it.
Yes.
I think that you're discounting your level of just absolute skill when you're saying, fuck it, let's run it at 220 bigs deep.
Okay.
I think the only way to learn how to play against good players deep is to play against good players deep. So I'm gonna reverse my thoughts on always just shoving it in their face. But yeah, I'd agree with this is a blunder.
How do I turn off the facial recognition on this thing? I don't know. So I'm just gonna step out of the frame so you guys
I
can
don't
see.
know what you're
Okay,
talking
we can
about.
see what's going on. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'll just step out of the frame there. So now it'll say,
Are we gonna do some, are we, oh, oh, it's practice time. Excellent.
there you go. There you go. So you
So
said,
is this like juggling practice session?
no, these are my friends. They're performing, at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, this weekend, tonight, tomorrow, and the next day.
Oh,
So
excellent.
So they're staying at my house. They all arrived and we're gonna hang out once we're done.
Okay,
Okay,
well, thank you very much for letting us continue the session.
that's no
Say
problem.
hello to the juggling friends from your poker nerds.
Poker nerds, say hi to juggling friends. Say hi, poker nerds. Okay, right. Okay, there you go. I smell toast. Okay. So Mike, this is a total mistake here to fold here. It's a total mistake. And it is mitigating the mistake I'm about to make on the turn against him.
Okay,
So
yeah, and
yeah.
you're aware that you're
Right.
playing with, yeah, some emotion and not.
I'm playing emotion and when we say playing the person, I don't mean I'm playing what I know about their range. I'm playing how I know I know that I will be outplayed.
I think that
even in position.
Okay, that's my whole argument, is that you're really deep in your position. Well, you're not afraid to stick this in, given the proper opportunity on the next two streets.
No, I'm
are
not
you?
afraid of the money.
Yeah, all right, maybe I just don't understand, because you're very deep and you're in position.
Right.
I just don't understand. I don't understand why you're giving him such a massive, like, magician, like, kind of Phil Ivey, like, skill level when he's playing out of position to you and you're the student.
Because I folded. Because
Okay,
I did make that because I did make that mistake.
all right.
So I'm making the adjustment I'm making is about my mistakes for now.
Okay, and I'm gonna be
Right.
honest with you, I don't totally agree with your remedy to this mistake, was just run the equity. I don't think that's the right choice.
But look at the little bit of the metagame of this choice,
All right,
which is he's four betting me light. Now, I mean, three betting me. This was let's see, this was technically a four bet. His four bets include four betting me light, right? They also include aces and kings. And by the way, not that it matters, in this particular session, he and I were the only good players at the table.
uh-huh.
And he had amassed this is my effective stack. He's got a lot more than this now because his 3 and 4 bets against them happened to have been aces and kings in this session. So it's not like I'm going, he only has aces and kings. And I'm not like going, oh, this was his lucky day. I'm just pointing out that he also has top of range here.
Got it. Okay, sure.
But in the metagame, even if I say it to him, flat out saying, which is, I've decided to run my equity against you from now on. So feel free, when you 4-bet me, we're going all in.
Okay,
He take out some of his 4-bet lights against me that I'm playing badly against.
got it. I get the metagame.
So that might be going on.
I get it.
The best choice is to play fundamentally sound GTO poker against him, better than him, and then play long enough to find out how does he deviate from GTO and what should my deviations be after that. That would be the best thing to do.
Agreed.
Not ready to do that yet. Tomorrow. Okay, so we have that hand. There we go.
So this guy's a rake. Like you
was
played
funny.
multiple sessions with this guy.
Yeah, I played multiple sessions with him.
These are his prime hunting grounds.
He did not show this ace-5 suited.
Okay.
This is later. This is a day later, as he and I are being a little more friendly. And he asked me what I had on that hand. And
Can you ever tell the truth?
He might or he might not have. But I chose. I said it was ace king, and he said, "Yeah, you're right. I 4-bet you light, but I outflopped you. It was ace-5."
I don't think anybody ever tells the truth when they tell a
They
hand
might not.
equity.
What's the point of saying that it's ace-5 there? What's the point of bluffing?
He had ace five in
To
the other
deceive
hand.
what you think his range is. I'll tell you what the point is. The point is
Yeah.
that he thinks you've got 4-bet bluffs when he's probably more linear than he should be, like the rest of us.
Right. But we've seen his 4-bet bluffs. He's shown them. He
Okay.
does 4-bet bluffs.
All right, I didn't know that data point.
Same guy. He's the guy who showed the ace five.
Okay,
All
right.
And by the way, I've also seen him in with 3-bets with, the 7-8 suited, with a 4-5 suited and play it strong. I've seen his range with bluffs.
I will
With-
say this, I think you know where you want to sit when he's at the table.
yeah, 2 places, on his left and at another table.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On his left or on his left.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Exactly.
would want to sit just like on the opposite side,
Yeah, that's good too. That's good too.
just to be involved
No.
in fewer hands with them.
Yep. Now, so
No,
here we
I'm
got,
always
so here we've got a, right, so we have this hand, good. Here we've got, I'm not gonna show you the hand. Bet and a raise. The guy sees the bet but doesn't see the raise and puts in the $30 or the 25. It's like a raise to 25, a bet of 25. Sorry, open to 25, then a raise to 100 or 75 or whatever the number is. I'm gonna call it 85. The guy calls the 25. The dealer points out, she says, excuse me, there was a re-raise. He says, oh, and he pulls back his 25.
Uh-huh.
It's a mistake and is against the rules,
True.
right? I was not in the hand and I was
Uh-huh.
not going to be in the hand. And I said nothing about it and they let it go. They just let him
Okay.
do it. And it's clear what the ruling would be. And there
Yes.
may have
Yep.
been there may have been a breath to the guy whose disadvantage it was to make him leave the 75 in, who said, it's fine. He, we know what he intended.
Okay.
Okay. Now, my question to you guys is, if you weren't in the hand, would you insist that the rule be followed?
absolutely never, ever do
Good.
that.
If you were in
Agreed.
No question about it. Never.
good. If you were in the hand and it was to your advantage, would you insist that the rule be followed?
Tell me about the
Never.
player. Is the player going to lose money over 100
Yes.
hours, or is he going
Yes.
to break even, or is he going to win?
He's going to lose money.
Okay, if
Then-
the guy's not even paying attention to the
Yeah,
betting,
then just
he's gonna lose
accommodate
money.
him. Just accommodate him.
Yeah,
Good.
Just-
I agree.
you want to
I-
create as comfortable
Right.
a
Right.
situation for him as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
You accommodate the fish.
Okay.
Exactly.
agree.
Exactly.
Okay.
100%.
This is going to come up again later. So
And-
a
and
12-year-old Asian kid.
just join the table.
Like for me, if I was at the table, whether I was, or let's assume I wasn't in the hand.
Yeah.
After the hand was over, like I'm with you guys on the whole, don't get involved if you're not in the hand kind of thing.
Yeah.
However, after the hand was over, I would probably ask the dealer, say, hey dealer, just so I know in the future, if something like that happens, what's the correct ruling? Like what should happen there? And I would want to kind of bring that to his attention so that I'm not confused in the future, and other people at the table are also not confused.
Agreed.
Right. Good enough. Okay. So, 12-year-old Asian kid shows up and I expect he can be good because we're playing 2-5-10. And how do you get that bankroll if you're not rich and stupid unless you're good? So if he's rich and stupid, we're going to know it within seconds, right? So my first thing is I expect that he could be good. By the way, the last note on this thing, let me get these out of the way so you can see, is I was right. The kid's up 5K when I left. He was good. Are you guys
Wait a
still there?
minute. Legitimately
Yeah,
12
yeah.
years old?
No, he looked like he was 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was 21. I expect the first time he went into that casino, he had to show his ID. I don't know that. That's just what I expect.
Okay.
There we go. Get you guys out of the way. All right. And this is going to be my hand against the kid, and it's going to be terrible.
Not the hero anymore.
Not the hero anymore. All right. So here we go. 2-5-10. Easy peasy. We raise to 30. No problem. Kid, 3 bets me big, not egregiously big.
Yeah,
No problem. Easy call. We don't need to four bet this
agreed.
No.
position. I've
Let's just
studied,
use our position.
right. This is not a mistake. I know how to play poker.
Yep.
I'm not, I don't need to get all in with queens to have you fold the hands that I beat and call me with the hands that beat me.
Yep, agreed.
In position. Great. Great flop for me, ish, kinda.
Yeah.
He checks. Great. All right, what do you want to do?
The SPR is
Hmm.
6-ish.
6-ish. And we don't want to get it all in. If all the money goes in, we're beat.
Yeah, I could get behind checking behind.
Okay?
I don't know. I mean, so check raise is gonna be horrible. How much do you know about him right now at this point in his hand?
He's probably now up. Let's put him at, he's up to 3,500 or 4,000 by now. We saw him in a hand earlier where somebody bet 700 into him, 600, 650 on the river, sit there and count combos.
Out loud?
Yeah, he wasn't hiding anything.
Interesting.
Not like a real. I mean, you knew that's what he was doing. He didn't say. I mean, you see him going like this, and he looks. You see him looking at the guy, thinking it through. You see him going, bet the flop. He checked the turn went check check. Okay, so what bluffs have you got? Okay, this value. Okay, and he calls him, with a hand with queen jack on a queen high board. So he's beaten by a better. What the fuck? You're following me over here, you bastards? Like to go into another room? Just because there wasn't room there?
No, we still don't know you.
Get away from me.
We tell you left because we were talking.
I have. Go over there. I gotta close the door. I'll speak with you. I'm almost done. Anyway,
So he was kind of speaking out loud as he was.
you could see it. You could see his thing, and he called. But what he called with a bluff, with what was clearly a bluff catcher.
Yeah,
He knew this was a hand that beat no value.
yeah.
And he was right. The guy was bluffing. Not that that's what's critical. But we saw his thought process. His thought process was everything that we have learned plus more. Or not plus more. Everything that we have learned at least. He may have doing something that I don't know.
Yeah.
Every single thing that I would have thought to do on that hand, he did.
Okay, so arguably he's a sophisticated poker player.
He's at least as good as me, if not better. I think better.
Okay, so
And by the way, with my ego, with this thing, I want to point out, because I keep talking about these people who are better than me and I'm playing scared and all this stuff. Trust me, there are other people at the table who I think I'm better than. There are times where I just say, I'm the best player at the table. There's no one here better than me.
I mean, I do totally get how you're
that's okay.
avoiding big pots with good players when you have so many fish at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like first principle Charlie Carell. Why do I want to reg battle when I could just take money from fish?
Yeah.
I totally get that.
But I'm not folding here.
No,
I mean,
of course not.
I'm not going to do this.
Hell
No,
no.
of course not.
Hell no.
The only question now is, does that play into our hand here? So I think when we take it from the Charlie Carell point, we do like protection here. We can't fold to a check raise. He's certainly capable of check raises here. I think I'm with Mike, and I like to check back without a club.
Okay. Well, that sort of would have made my life easier.
Is it coming in? Is he gonna do it?
You bet he does.
Okay. You can't fold.
I do.
Then we should never bet.
Yep, exactly.
And yeah, I hope I'm not being too prescriptive here, but
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I think what we're doing here I think the answer here is that we think through the game tree. What are we going to do if he XRs? If he check raises us here, what are we gonna do? And if the answer we come up with is I don't think I can sustain a check raise with this hand,
then
we
I should check.
back.
Yeah. Because I can certainly sustain this. If I check back and he bets out on the turn, I can call. And if he then bets again on the river, depending on what the river is and his size, I can call.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of like the metagame of not growing pots against the best players when we've got old man coffee over here who's limping 80% of range or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I get back to that whole concept. I mean, so I'll give you an example. I was up at buy-in a couple nights ago on a Wednesday night. It was the hand I showed you with the King Jack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I looked around after about 2 hours and I'm like, this is a fucking rig battle. I'm up at buy-in. I'm out.
Mhm.
And there's no reason for me to sit here because
That's
we all know fundamental. We're making all our money from fish.
yep.
Yeah.
Why do I want to sit around and pay $12 an hour to trade money with players who are as good as I am?
I agree 100%.
Yep.
I would argue, in fact, that studying to play against good players, unless you're gonna play against good players, like I'm a bum hunter.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, I am as much
I
as I
want
can
to
be.
play with the stupidest roulette player as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Good player
it
comes
just,
to the table, I should move.
I mean,
'Cause I'm
playing
not there-
against regs from an intellectual engagement perspective is interesting. It depends on what you're in the game for, right? I'm
Oh,
not so much in the game to have interesting range versus range interaction conversation with the rig.
Mhm.
Like I love this analysis because that you guys go through
Yeah, it's
playing against good
fascinating.
player.
It's
I love
fascinating.
this, but when I'm playing, I want to play against people that don't know a straight beats a flush.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no.
that's what I want to play against. Right?
Yeah, I
I
mean-
don't want to play against Phil Ivey. Although I do want to move up in stakes. So I know I'm contradicting myself.
You're not finding Phil Ivey up in stakes. You're finding slightly better players than the players you're
Okay,
playing
Phil Helmuth. Yeah.
for
Okay.
twice, for twice. Exactly. You're playing against Phil Helmuth. It's not going to be a problem.
Not going to be a problem.
Right.
Walking.
So before we go to the next hand, how do we play this differently? Well, I would say against a very, very good active player,
Check
who-
back.
we check back. Yeah, we just check back, and we've got a shit ton of equity. We see what happens. And also the other way to think about this on flop is in this configuration on this texture in a 3-bet pat, is this a 2-street worth value hand or is it a 3-street value hand?
It's a 1 street to 1.5 street value hand.
Alright,
It's not worth betting twice. It's worth calling twice.
yeah, so I think we can check. Yeah.
It's worth betting once
So-
and calling twice.
So if he check raises, did we even think about shoving it?
No, we didn't think about shoving it. We thought about calling.
Yeah, it's kind of a
We didn't think
small
about
check
it.
raise.
It's a small check raise, but the shove, we don't shove without a club.
So, okay, so
We also
Okay.
don't fold with a club. We also don't fold with a club here.
No.
I have to answer I'm gonna ask this question and I think the answer is gonna be fuck no from you.
Yeah.
If we were playing 1-2 at the table, 4 tables down, are we doing this? Are we making the same play?
No,
Never. Never in a billion zillion years.
no.
Okay, so why? Okay, so you're not going to fold if we're playing 1-2, 4 tables away. You're not gonna make this fold,
I'm going to call once.
and that is because of player class or because of absolute dollar amount.
Player class.
Okay, all right, cool.
Because they're gonna shut down flush draws and things. If they check raise with, because they're going to be afraid of my call. He's not.
Okay, gotcha.
He's gonna read it for what it is.
Well, I think your call pre-flop is better against like the 1-2 player than it is against. I think you should be 4-betting here pre-flop more than you're considering.
Right.
Because his range is more polar than what.
His range is more polar, and also because of this is my other change. I'm
Not polar. His small blind range probably isn't all that polar.
His small blind, so is, okay, so you're not arguing that his small blind 3-bet range is more polar than most players because of his studied nature?
I think it's just wider. And then not necessarily, like if he was big blind, I think it'd be more polar, but small blind, not necessarily.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's my,
Right,
I could be wrong.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
yeah.
the thing about going polar. You only go polar when the middle hands want to call. Have calling ranges, and if he doesn't have a calling range here, he's going to be linear. It doesn't mean he's not going to have any bluffs,
Yeah, I see it.
right?
I mean, yeah, we know in theory, big blinds, two bet range is more polar than small blinds, yes.
Now,
Yeah, against an aggressive, like good player, I would just think I would consider four betting more here. But
Oh, yeah.
against a weaker 1-2 player where his range is just going to be aces, kings, and ace king.
Yeah.
Then yeah, just call or just fold or maybe maybe even just fold. But
I wouldn't fold queens, but
no, I know. But I'm just saying because you still
So this
against
guy's
the
like
range of
20
just
years
aces,
old.
kings, and ace king.
I am considering not just four betting this, I'm considering jamming this now.
So you are like, so you are going to so essentially you're kind of saying
Only against these players.
the very best players, you're going to just run the equity.
Yeah.
And this is, regardless of stack depth.
And not regardless, but I mean, there's a stack depth. I'm not going to do it 300 big blinds deep,
Okay, all right.
but $2,000.
I kind of prefer I would prefer modifying by checking back flop.
That's a better play. I mean, I really like that. I really like checking back flop and losing. I really like losing $600 more on this hand. I do. I'm serious. 300.
Well,
I really like, ending this hand, putting in 600 more. Depending on the run out.
I'm surprised you're going to this space where you're shoving. I kind of get it. Like essentially you're saying, okay, against the best players here, I'm just gonna run the equity as with my top 3% hands or top 4% hands.
Yeah.
And then I've just eliminated their ability to outplay me because we're just gonna run the equity and when they have it, they have it.
Yeah, and I've also made myself a different kind of unpleasant.
And you made yourself a different kind of unpleasant.
Well,
So
to say
as
to
you continue to
them,
play here and these rigs continue to show up at your table, they are now going to think twice before they 3-bet you. That guy shoved his queens. He doesn't give a fuck.
right? And with this, it's like look at all the other people at the table who I can trivially outplay. I'm speaking in his mind. I can trivially outplay them. I can outplay him also. But now I can't outplay him. So
He's going to just run his equity.
Yeah. And so now I can't play games. I have to actually have the hand. And so when once they've made that adjustment and I'm only getting called by the top of range and I'm not getting any folds, then I have to readjust my readjustment. But my first adjustment is going to be enough fucking around here. With ace king.
This money means a lot less to me than it does to you.
No, it means
you're trying to live off this.
No, it does. It's not that. It's just this is not a profitable play anymore.
Okay, I got it.
The money means
money.
I don't know what the money means to the kid. I mean, the fact that he's a kid and he can sit down and play this says something. The other guy, I know what the money means to him. The money is not an issue. He plays in higher
It should be if you're playing at this stage.
He wants to win.
Sure.
But, against his friend at the table, if they're thinking, this guy would very comfortably say, you want to go all in? You want to play the next hand for $1,000 blind? They would do that.
Oh, I always jump on
I would
those.
assume they're not interested.
Right. I'm not interested in that, but I'm saying they would do that. And so
I think you should.
we're going to move on from here. I'm sorry, Derek, you were going to say.
I always jump on that because
because you want their stack deep.
I want to play deep stack.
Yep, exactly.
So when I sit down,
and that makes sense. But I'm expressing
to do that
thing here. I'm just saying that this guy is not going to be scared by the amount of money. That's not what my intent is. My intent is to say that there are so many better targets than me at this table for 4 betting and for 3 and 4 betting light. And so until you make that adjustment, and I do this, and when I do this, I'm getting called all the time, and I'm getting called by better hands only, then I'm going to have to make a different adjustment. But this is my first adjustment to this. because my other adjustment is going to be play better. And I'm not confident I can do that yet.
Hmm. So, can I ask you guys a question about a line check
A line check.
that I something that I did recently?
Have
What's
you
a-
thought about putting it in replay?
Yeah, I put it in replay. So
You ready? You ready for
Yeah,
it? Okay,
yeah, I
I'll
can
start.
share.
Okay.
Okay. We're ready.
So I said share,
Yeah, yeah.
and I select the
Select
and
the
then I click
program.
share.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay, so
Yep, we got it. Beautiful. You got
let me just go back a sec. So I sit down at the table, under the gun raises,
Yep.
call.
Yep. This is a terrible play in, let me finish the sentence what I said. This is a terrible play in theory. This is a terrible play against excellent players. This is an excellent play against your table.
Yeah.
I just assume it's
Yep.
Saturday night
Yep.
or
This is
Friday
good.
night. There's beer at the table.
Yep. This is the right
I
line.
am singing along to the music.
Yep.
Like an idiot.
Yep.
My first words out were, do we want to have a round of straddles? No one wanted a round
Right.
of straddles.
Yep. There we go. Good.
So I think I'm probably not going to get 4-bet or 5-bet here.
Exactly.
So it's totally safe.
Yep.
I flop the nuts. No, what am I doing? So what happened was the under the gun guy bet,
Yeah.
call, and I just shove it in because this is my first buy-in.
Yeah. I don't like this line. I don't like this line.
So
I'm glad it worked. I don't like it.
I'm happy to shove because there's a bunch of deep stacks at the table, and I just want to play 200 big blinds or 300 big blinds against them.
Yep.
So that was my thinking, which has nothing to do with what I have
Yeah.
my hand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you guys want to slip for stacks? I'm happy to get it in the first hand.
Yeah. I understand that. I don't think it's your best choice. I don't think it's your best choice in this hand.
Oh, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that's what I did.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's my opinion.
I wouldn't play this hand this way.
Yes, Dean, it's a capped buy-in, so he can't buy in to match the stack. He has to get there.
Yeah.
If he
I
can
mean,
match
it's like
the stack-
kind of like, okay, to be honest, this feels like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
It feels like what?
Cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's what it feels like to me. And I don't mean to be, derogatory.
You mean it's like spewing, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's spewing, and here's the thing. So one of the things in your strategy is you don't mind spewing a flip early to get the stacks deep enough to have them make the mistake at the end. And later in the night. And that
Because that's
right. And
that's what I'm trying to do here.
That totally makes sense to me. But I think I can improve your strategy by saying do exactly what you're doing without spewing. Because you're gonna have another hand that's going to allow you to get up to that stack depth better. And in this particular hand, you have got a good reason to fold, and you've got a good reason to call, and you have a good reason to fold, you have a slightly worse reason to call, and you have an even worse reason to jam. All of them, there are reasons. Okay.
Right.
But of those three at this moment, and I'm including the metagame, your best choice is to fold.
Okay.
You have 6 outs, 2 of which are not clean.
Yep.
And,
definitely not clean.
Right. And 4 of which, while they are almost definitely clean, are going to be hard to get it all in with a 4 card. They're going to be too visible.
Right.
And you've already said your players don't fold an ace here.
Yeah, so I'm surprised.
So you have just right.
like this is contradicting what I've just been preaching for the last
that's
hours,
what I'm saying. That's why that's what I don't like about the hand is it doesn't follow the logic you've said about these players. You got luck. Either that
I'm
someone,
saying this is spew.
Yeah,
And I'm agreeing
I think
with that, yeah.
I think it's just, all right, moving back here, we're almost done with
Okay.
this. Okay, the kid raised, somebody on my side of the table limped, not seeing the raise. I saw the limp and announced raise, meaning to ISO. I said raise, then he puts in the other 35 to match the first raise, which I did not see. And I said, what are my options? And they called over the floor, and we explained the thing, and the floor said it was clear that, that I was not angling in any way, that my point was that I saw that. And this was against the kid. And he said, what are your options? He says, you can call, you can raise, you can do whatever you want. I said, in that case, I fold.
So let's
And
just,
let me get away.
so we had a limper.
I thought somebody limped. I thought I was ISOing a limp from the small blind with king, queen offsuit. I was not intending to raise the low jack -1's raise plus a call with king, queen offsuit in the small blind. I was going to fold king, queen offsuit in the small blind to that action. And
Right.
raise the ISO.
Okay.
And, like that. So anyway, so I got the benefit of the doubt of the rule, of the similar ruling to the pulling back the 25, like, we know what you intended. The we know what you intended rule went my way. And since we are close to done, let me see if I'm gonna leave this till tomorrow. I think I'm gonna leave the last two hands till next week, because tomorrow is Nuffle News Day.
It is nothing news there.
Right, and
Give us
these-
one more.
No, I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna not give you another hand. I'm gonna talk to you about something that follows this rule.
Okay, that's fine.
Because this hand is really interesting, and this hand I don't remember, but this hand is more
Yeah,
than.
yeah, it's 3 hours in. Okay, cool. We'll save
Yeah.
it to next time.
Right, so we have all this stuff here, and this is just about the ruling things. That's notes you'll be amused by. Okay, which were, so two more ruling things happened. One was, guy's got $500 left. He has just rebought. He's come back to the table with $500. We get to the point where I jam on him, and he's going to call the jam. And before he calls the jam, to the person to his right, he gives the person $10, 2 red chips to his right.
Ah,
And I say, that should be in the pot. And he says, I owed it to him. And I don't hear him exactly, but it's like I owed it to him, like, for this buy-in or something. But he said
Okay.
I owed it to him. Now, it is absolutely clear what the ruling is here. That money's mine.
yeah, that's very, very naughty.
Right. That's absolutely the case. But it's also absolutely the case that I needed to raise that king queen after announcing it. And it's also the case that guy shouldn't have been able to take back the $25 with the intent. And so with
For
the
$10, I wouldn't worry about it.
Right. That's what I did. When I say I let it go, not mentally, because I'm bringing it up to you guys, and I brought it up to my wife, and on my deathbed, my last words are going to be, he owes me $10. But in the game, we let that go. We let that go on the principle of keeping the game nice.
Exactly.
How much?
Absolutely.
Just $500?
This is your advertising fund,
Yeah. Okay.
right? This is your
This might
promotion
be a
fund.
good guy. Okay.
Yeah. This is your advertising promotion fund. It's a cost of doing business.
Right. Okay. So that was that one.
Yeah, Dean asked a good question.
Yes.
So it sounds like what happened to that hand is that you jammed on him free. He was going to call, but then he gave $10 to his friend, right?
Yeah. It may not have been pre. It may have been on the flop where the
Okay.
jam, but it was a jam. It was a jam where he gave the $10 to his friend and then called the 490.
Okay, and yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about where your breaking point is there. How much? So he gave a big blind. How many big blinds are you like, what the fuck? Like, I'm curious. Is it like at 20 bigs or 10 bigs or 5 bigs? You're like, no, that's
Oh,
that's
you
in
mean
the
how
pot.
much money? I wouldn't let him give away $50.
All right. So yeah, okay. 5 bigs is a good
The
place, I
exception
think.
where I would. Here's the exception where I would let him give away $50. If the guy had ordered dinner before this
Ah, yeah.
and the waitress brings it to him and he hasn't paid the bill yet, and I'm gonna put him all in, and he says, I need, I haven't paid the waitress yet. I would say pay the waitress.
Okay, got it.
I agree.
Okay,
I
but
agree
that beyond that
100%.
eventuality, if he said I owe him to before and he gave him $50,
I
you
would
give
say
him, no,
Ken,
no, thank you.
that's not okay. That money's on the table, therefore it must be in the pot.
Yeah, I think 5 big blinds is a good breaking point there.
Yeah. Um,
Does that answer your question?
$25. I think I certainly talk more about it before I say okay. Like
I
maybe,
wouldn't care about $100.
yeah, okay,
I wouldn't care, period.
yeah.
Like I'm playing at such little stakes that I don't give a fuck.
Mm.
This
Okay, there we go. So that I jumped to that because I put in those other rulings earlier for this. So when it came to me, it's like, how should I do this? Who here is forcing the rule? Anybody? Who here's
never.
That's
You
fine.
want
I
to have
think
a
5
happy
big blinds
table.
is the right breaking point.
okay?
I think 5 bigs
Mm,
is the right way.
Okay.
So in
nah.
that, I'm obviously playing smaller stakes, so that's $10. Yeah, no, don't do that.
Right.
50
And I'm
bucks for
asking,
you. Don't do that. I mean, so, you
and
could
I'm gonna
argue
ask,
absolute amount matters here.
and I'm going to ask everybody the same question, but I'm going to ask it with slightly different wording. I'm not going to ask what's right, like what is the breaking point. I'm going to ask not for you, what would you do? So
1,000.
so Derek is saying that he would let $1,000 go. Yeah, Larry is saying he would let 5 big blinds. He would let 5 big blinds, or he would let less than 5 big blinds go. Anybody else? Where are you guys? Okay.
So I
Nobody.
had a situation where I showed my hand face up, and the dealer just picked up the hand and shuffled it away. So I had and I said to the dealer, and then he gave the pot to someone else, and they said straight doesn't count. And
I would insist there. I would insist on a camera there.
yeah, it was about $600. I didn't care.
Yeah, I would insist. And there, the reason I would insist is different, because that's not giving the benefit to a player and making the game good. That's a dealer mistake, and that's the responsibility of the room. I would do that one differently.
Yeah,
Um,
if you see a dealer mistake, you have an obligation as a poker player to point it out.
right.
I did
When
point
it
it out.
comes to winning
I said
hand.
straight doesn't count.
Yeah, but I mean,
Straight.
I would say, if you're in a room that has cameras, I would say let's segregate that pot and take a look.
There's no such thing as a room without cameras.
Right. So in that case, I would insist. However, you bluff on the river, you show 6 high, and the guy folds. He's already called you, and he folds because he thought you had a straight. And then he goes, 5. He goes 6 high. No, fuck. I thought that was a straight. I would very much consider giving him back his last bet or half of his last bet, not the pot. Assuming he called you. You see, the difference there is, one is the player's mistake, and you're being generous, and you're going with the spirit of the game to a player, and the other is you're being cheated out of the pot by a mistake of the dealer.
Mm.
And so that would be me. If anybody else has an opinion on that, feel free to state it before we go.
I think you're fine. I had a similar situation where I show my hand and I say 8 because I had 8 high.
Right.
And the guy mucks his hand.
Right.
I think, well,
Although you might
what
be.
the heck's going on?
Okay.
Did
So
you
let
have
me.
a 7 high?
Okay. So I will tell you guys now a hand that I was going to skip, but I'll tell it to you and then we'll be done.
Okay.
The last one. This was just that's probably on this day here. This is a lesson to learn from it. right, it's gonna be on this day. Which is, they're on the river. The guy says missed. Here we go. So they're all in. The guy's got 7-5 suited. He's got a real, they got all in on the turn or on the flop. It doesn't matter which in the story. He's got a real draw. He's got a straight draw, maybe. He's definitely got a flush draw. There might be a backdoor straight or whatever. We get to the river. The guy says, I missed, but he doesn't muck. He says, I missed. The other guy doesn't do anything. He does, and then he turns over his hand and shows 7 high, 5-7. I'm sorry, 9 high. Says 9-7 of clubs. He's got 9-7 of clubs. The other guy looks at it, looks at his hand, and he goes, it's good, and folds. Because the other guy was probably on a lower flush draw or something like that. If the guy hadn't turned over his hand, knowing that he lost, he would have lost the pot. If he just said, I missed, and throws his hand in the muck. So don't be embarrassed to turn over 9 high when you miss.
Yeah, good point. Because
If it's-
that is an important live poker fundamental.
Yeah, there's not an angle. This nobody angle shot. It was nothing like this. And the other guy, I don't think the other guy waited like to try to get the guy to muck. He just, the first guy says he missed, and the second guy goes, well, I missed too, and just hadn't said anything. Maybe the first guy was hoping he would muck, but I didn't get that vibe. I just got it sort of the rhythm of the hand. Now that I look back on it, the guy who had what we assume is the 3-5, I think was the guy who was supposed to turn over first. So maybe there was a tiny bit of hope in his head when he heard the I missed that the guy would muck, but it was pretty fast. So I'm not gonna impute anything to him. But for us, don't say I missed and muck. All right, that's the last lesson. Tomorrow, Nuffle News Day. See
Yes,
y'all-
Mike, looking forward to tomorrow, the Nuffle session.
Okay, cool. I'll try to filter this properly.
Okay.
I might reach out to you, Scotty, to see if we get the right filter.
Yeah. And then if you do, you have my number, so just in case I look at you
Yeah.
have my number. Yeah,
I do.
yeah. Text me, and I'll be free all of tonight. This evening, I'm going to go with my friends now, but they're working tonight, so I'll be here.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you, Scotty, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye. Stop streaming.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate this.
No worries.
Bye. And we're
I
going to
learned
try
a
to
lot
put
from
this.
you guys.
I'm going to try to put this one up on YouTube because only. Let me hit the stop share. Let me hit the stop recording. There.